Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving value's contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Okay, so hope you had a great weekend. We definitely had a lot of fun this weekend for Memorial Day, and we had a couple unique experiences. Senna turned 8 years old.
8 years old.
Yesterday, celebration. It's been a birthday month for her. Every weekend we're talking about her birthday. But anyways, hope you had a good one. We got a lot of stories to go through. Trump shows up to Tim Pool's podcast, as well as on, the Libertarian Convention, which was great to see, the fact that that is actually taking place now. The booze in the crowd and some of the other extracurricular activities we'll talk about. Libertarians announced their pick as their nominee, Chase Oliver, as their presidential nominee. Apparently, he's made some interesting comments in the past before, which we'll talk about here briefly. Governor Kathy Hochul slammed for calling Trump's New York supporters, you ready for this? Clowns. I think she said it to Jake Tapper. Compared to Hillary's infamous basket of deplorables moment, we'll talk about that. Biden, according to Wall Street Journal, folks, needs a little more empathy on the economy. Come on, folks. Democrats
come on, guys.
Democrats are saying they need a little bit more empathy. Hillary Clinton says she lost 2016 because women voters abandoned her. How dare you, ladies, abandon Hillary Clinton?
Shameful.
The Forbes 2021 International Woman of the Year. How could you do that to her?
They were with her husband.
James Carville calls Democratic message full of shit. Israel airstrikes and Rafah kills dozens as Netanyahu acknowledges tragic mistake. Our Gaza protests happening mostly at elite colleges. There's a very interesting chart that Tom sent everybody. We'll show you. It's very, very interesting to look at. Nearly 80% of Americans now view fast food, ready, as a luxury. Going to fast food restaurant is now a luxury. Tesla CEO Elon Musk says he opposes EV tax incentives, tariffs on Chinese EVs. Wait till I show you some charts about what's going on with Chinese EVs and what they're selling you to compare to ours and why. What edge do they have over other people worldwide that they can sell? You know how we sell the Teslas, let's just say for $55,000? A company called BYD has an EV that they sell for $9,700. $9,700, and you got to see why that is. And America's panicking. Reason why Biden just put 100% tariff on China when they're bringing cars down here. Anyways, there's more to talk about there. Next, George Lucas demolishes woke critics, calling his Star Wars films ready to white. Star Wars was too white. Caitlin Clark, Cameron Brink showcase one-ups, LeBron James and the Lakers. Can you imagine the Sparks had more people come to the game than the Lakers? Record-breaking for the year, which we'll talk about. Buttigieg can't explain why Biden has only built 7 or 8 EVs, charging stations. Rob, maybe you got to get that video as well to show it because it's not yellow here. Report frustrated illegal immigrants. This one's classic. Vinny's favorite story out of everything we got here today. Frustrated illegal immigrants turn to ride-sharing apps after waiting for Border Patrol. This is not a joke. This is an actual story by the Daily Caller. Dave Chappelle accuses Israel of genocide in Gaza in his stand-up. Why mortgage rates are doomed to stay above 7% for the foreseeable future. The Fed probably won't be delivering any interest rate cuts this year. That's CNBC. Housing prices hit another record high as affordability crisis deepens, and buy now, pay later, apparently by the end of summer, according to Tom, may be treated as credit card companies, and they do not like that. And then there's a couple clips to respond to with Bill Maher going on Megyn Kelly, and Megyn Kelly had some interesting questions to ask Bill, and then Bill says, well, maybe you haven't been doing enough research on this topic here. And it was very awkward, but you have to see this clip. Anyways, before we get into it, it's the last week to compete for the Minnect contest. If you go up to the Minnect contest here, lightweight is zooming a little bit. Rob, matter of fact, can you go to the other site that actually shows everybody where they're at? Zoom in a little bit for lightweight. So we got all the way at the top, Dr. Cameron at 423. He took a massive lead over Davis Thurber, Santino Testani, 229. Gary Woods is close by 8, Gary. Alex is at 202. KG Crypto was at number 1, and a bunch of people came up and started competing. Then go to the next category, Rob, if you can, for middleweight. Middleweight, we got Mr. Real Estate Fernando, first place, 115.
Killing it.
Michael Mara, 94. Rob is 81.
Not far off.
Rob could be first place. Guys, help
Come on,
Rob
guys, help
be
Rob.
first place. Send him some questions. Send him some love. Patasa, the AI guy, is at 75. Tomo's at 50. Wade, and then we got Rashid, and then go to the next one. This is for the dinner to have at Casa D'Angelo.
Can't wait.
And then the cigars. Dustin's first place dominating. Calvin NG, Dr. Calvin NG, 189. Then it's Cruz Como, 185. Then it's Dennis Panev, Krishan, Ben Pappas, 71. Aaron Mont, 51. Matt Sapula, a.k.a. Sapala, 42. And even Mario Aguilar's their 10th place. Let's go to home team. Vincent Oshana, 857.
I love you guys.
Dominating.
I love all of you. Thank you.
615 times 444. Adam 213. But Harriet, we hear you.
Yeah.
Harriet, we love you.
The fact that you've done many 1-hour calls with Adam, and those should be counted. In the next contest, we will consider it. News. Tyler Huff, 240. Terrell Hall, 202. J.W. Estrada, 194. Goran, 172. And then go to the last one. Look at this one here. Dustin, 1,164 questions. He's Minnected 1,164 times.
I heard
Sir John is at 969. Ozzy, 287. And then Kyle Starr. Anyways.
Wow.
If you haven't yet downloaded the app, Rob, if you want to go to some of the Minnect QR codes, download the app, start asking questions, and participating with different folks that what we have going on right now. There's a couple new guys that came on that are starting to get a lot of Minnects. And by the way, it's exciting to see what's happening with this. Most people don't even have any idea what we're doing internally with Minnect on the different developments within the app. Tom and I had a meeting last night at the house. There's so many different investments we've made, but stay tuned. A lot of big things coming with Minnect. I'll be making some major announcements this week of the guest at the Vault Conference, and you're not going to believe who's going to be at the Vault Conference.
You haven't even told us. That's not fair.
The only person in this room knows is the person that's going to be handling the contract, and that's Tom Ellsworth.
Tommy,
but we will be
I
announcing
know.
who the guest at the Vault will be, and you will be blown away. We were texting back and forth yesterday. It's going to be exciting. All right, so let's get right into it. Stories. Let's start off with the first story here. Libertarians pick Chase Oliver as presidential nominee. Now, the question is, prior to them announcing this, Rob, can you do a poll? How many of you have heard of Chase Oliver before? Maybe you have, maybe you have not. The Libertarian Party chooses Chase Oliver, known for his armed and gay identity and his role in the 2022 Georgia Senate runoff as their presidential nominee, rejecting appeals from Donald Trump and RFK Jr. Libertarians fear RFK Jr.'s historically high polling as a third-party candidate could significantly reduce their typical protest vote share, jeopardizing ballot access in numerous states. Larry Sharp warned we're going to lose ballot access in probably 22 states. Oliver emphasizes nationwide efforts to grow the party, making campaign stops in 50 states, and engaging young voters disillusioned by current issues like the Israel-Hamas war, immigration crisis, and cost of living. We've identified young people. Those are young people that we're going to target, Oliver said. And by the way, President Trump was at the Libertarian Convention. Rob, can you pull up one of the clips of him at the Libertarian Convention speaking, and one of them that's booed and the other one where they cheered him? Which one is this, Rob?
This is where he says if Republicans and Libertarians united, they'd be unstoppable.
Go ahead and play this. Let's see what happens here.
If we unite, we are unstoppable. I will be a true friend to Libertarians in the White House.
Handles it like a boss, though. Watch.
And then do you have the other one? They're booing him, obviously, for that. They're like, no, we don't want to do that. And what other ones do you have? Which one's this, Rob?
This is where he gets the loudest applause of the evening, where he discusses
CBDC.
Pardoning the Silk Road founder, Ross
Go
Ulbricht.
for it. Go for it.
And if you vote for me on day one, I will commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht to a sentence of time served.
You're blocking my camera shot. Ross must put the signs down.
Can't see anything.
Adam, thoughts on this year with them announcing this and then also covering President Trump's face for like 30 seconds? Still think.
You know how much time I spent watching the Libertarian Convention? Absolutely zero, because I have a life. And as you've said before, the Libertarian Party has a pretty good product, horrible marketing. So they just nominated Chase, what's his last name? Oliver. Never heard of the guy. Maybe if you nominated John Oliver, I'd give a shit.
Yeah.
Can you actually go to his Wikipedia? Go to his Wikipedia, Rob.
He's known for being armed and gay. I'll just add another thing: armed, gay, and irrelevant. We've had some opportunities to discuss Libertarian. The debate you did, the panel you did with Dave Smith and a host of other people, I think was incredible. Dave Smith, who I think is a beast. Ron Paul, Libertarians. Beyond that, Joe Jorgensen, what a joke. In 2020, the Libertarian Party got 1.2% of the vote. Their high mark was Gary Johnson in 2016 with 3% of the vote. In 2012, Gary Johnson was also the nominee, got 1% of the vote. I don't know why we're spending time giving airwaves to a group that gets 1 to 3% of the vote. I wouldn't give airwaves to the Green Party and Jill Stein, Cornel West with whatever he's doing, the Justice for All Party, Cenk Uygur with, I think he ended his campaign in March, the Progressive Party, the Forward Party, the No Labels Party. In my opinion, it's Trump, it's Biden, and it's RFK. The rest of you losers, get out of the way. And I don't mean losers like, oh, you're a loser, you're a loser. I mean, like, literally, they've never won anything. So at one point do we say, thanks, guys.
Joe Jorgensen is a great debater.
Joe Jorgensen was an absolute
her debating ability
debacle
like
when
that,
she showed up here. And
Adam, watch your language. I mean, when she showed up, she was
it
like...
It sounds like I'm being negative, PBD, and I'm really not. I'm just trying to be
Starting
real.
off today, it's like we're just coming off Memorial Day, barbecue, good hanging out, going and celebrating the lives, and you're off. You're just trashing Joe Jorgensen's abilities to debate.
Am I wrong?
Tom,
Am I wrong?
I
I'm going to give my thoughts.
I thought Joe Jorgensen was part of the Crickets Party because remember she was sitting here and all we heard was crickets. Here's what I think. New voices in America are rising up, and now mainstream media, because Trump was there, actually covered the Libertarian Convention because they were so excited that somebody was booing the President Trump, former President Trump, the Republican candidate. They were so excited about that they had to cover it. But I also think what this shows is Trump really is out there trying to unify. He's winning minorities, bigger percents than last time, with a positive message of what he's going to do. And he's coming here to the message for the Libertarian Party. Say, listen, I want to partner with you. And as a matter of fact, one of the things that you really care about, I will pardon the Silk Road founder that has been in prison this time. So I thought it was very positive. He's over there trying to. I know,
Tom, but what do you think about that? Like, is this a non-issue? Him going to the Libertarian Party? Is this like, because from one side, there's many different arguments to be made. Do you think it's a big deal that he went to the Libertarian Party's convention?
I think it's a medium deal that he went there, and it shows that he's trying to bridge and he's trying to collect the votes.
Okay, Vinny, thoughts?
I just think I agree with Tom. At least he's out there. PBD, I don't know if you saw what Biden was doing this weekend when they were doing the Memorial Day thing. For 30, 40 seconds, sometimes a minute, he's in the back, passed out, asleep on stage. So this is what our president's doing. The other president is out there busting his butt trying to get votes. Look at this guy.
He's
praying. Not praying, pal.
Why are you creating rumors?
He wasn't praying. He was snoring.
Oh, you got to be kidding.
He was snoring.
Give this man a break.
He was just, but this is just one little 10-second thing. There was multiple times where it's 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and he did that little eye thing where he like plays with his eyes and then took another little nap. It's sad. At least the other guy's out there and trying to get the vote. So I respect Trump.
So here's what I think. I mean, listen, if you remember in 2016, Trump was doing 3, 4, 5 campaign stops a day. Hillary was doing 1 a week.
Yep.
You would be looking at a Facebook Live and then Trump speaking somewhere, and in 2 hours you're like, oh, it's not the same Facebook Live because it's the same place? Yeah. He's at, oh, shit, it's a different place. Then you'd forget about that. Then 2 hours later, like, he's on so he was getting on planes, going to all these other places, and doing so. So for me, the one part you got to love is the fact that he's going out there and talking to anybody and everybody. He's convinced he's going to win New York. He's going talking to the Libertarian Party. When's the last time a president spoke at the Libertarian Party convention?
Very good question.
Rob, when's the last time a president...
According to Trump, he is the first president to have ever appeared and speak at the Libertarian convention.
So let me say this to you. You know, what does that do to you if you're a Libertarian? Because I have a lot of things with Libertarian Party that I like. I like the personality, the persona of leave me alone, let me do my thing. I relate to that Libertarian aspect and the values and principles that they offer. But for the Libertarian community that are sitting there, you have to realize this guy showed up to hear you out, okay? He showed up to hear what you have to say. The other guy's not going to show up to you. And Trump understands that even though we're saying, well, it's only 2% and it's only 3% and it's only 1%, in this race, everything in the middle matters. Everything in the middle matters. And I think that's what differentiates him. And by the way, the more he shows up to markets that the opposition doesn't think he stands a chance to win, you know what they keep saying? Things like this. Rob, pull up the Hochul clip in New York while she's talking to Jake Tapper. And this is after thousands of people showed up in Bronx. Look what she says, making fun of the supporters of Trump. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, I'll tell you, it won't make a difference at all, Jake, and that is for Donald Trump to be the ringleader of and invite all his clowns to a place like the Bronx. New York will never, ever support Donald Trump for president. We know him better than anyone, and that means we understand what he's all about is just for himself. So this state will go solidly behind Joe Biden for president, as it has in the past. So he wants to spend his time doing these made-up fake rallies and pretending they're support here. Be my guest, because while you're doing that, Donald Trump, Joe Biden's out there on the other side, making sure he's delivering for all Americans. And so go ahead, spend all your time you want in New York, because we'll be with Joe Biden, and Joe Biden's out there winning over the rest of the battleground states.
So you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see the made-up fake crowd. I would love to see you have a Biden made-up fake crowd of 20,000 people. Just make it happen. Okay. How many people show up when he comes to speak or campaign?
300.
And by the way, I'm talking without Obama showing up. No Obama. Just him by himself. How many people will show up to see how interested they are in what he has to say, right?
Yeah.
But the more they do this goes back to what they did in 2016, which is try to trash the opponent. And they just pissed off the voter base more and more and more. And they said, did you just call me a clown? No problem. I'm going to show up with 50 clowns. I was planning on only voting with one other clown, but this time I'm showing up with 50 clowns. No problem. All these clowns are going to beat you.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing to the opposition. Tom, thoughts on this?
Thoughts on this? I think that there is a very real chance, maybe only 15%, but rising, that she's going to regret that clip. Siena poll has it at 9%, actually 8.9% to be exact, which is as close as Trump has ever been.
Can you tell us what that means? What's 8.9%?
Oh, I'm sorry. Siena, which is one of their polls, it's one of Kathy Hochul's favorite pollsters, has Biden versus Trump in the state of New York. Trump is at 8.9% behind Biden. It was a 24% crushing in the election. And you hear what's going on. So guess what? The polls are saying is that these made-up rallies in the Bronx apparently are also made-up voters who are not made up and showing up in the polls.
And you'd think, like, especially, I don't know what it is with the left, they cannot help themselves by learning a lesson. Hillary Clinton, when she said a basket of deplorables, that, like you said, sent everybody downhill. Are you not learning your lesson that the more you mess with our side, you're putting gasoline on the fire? With all the stuff, with all the lawfare that they're doing with Trump, you're making him stronger, you're making him more popular. Whoever is in charge, and I know Hillary and Obama and all them are in charge of this thing, they are so stuck in their stupid ways, they'll never shift tactics. Shift your tactic, leave him alone. I'm telling you right now, PBD, if they stopped saying Trump and stopped saying stuff like that, they actually might have a chance. That is if they don't cheat, which we all know. I know it's going to happen, but just shut up, leave them alone. Don't talk about them. Don't talk about us. Clowns. You know how many New Yorkers that was? 25,000 people. You just lumped all of them, and you're the governor, you idiot. What are you talking about? You are governing those clowns. And let's see if she's going to get reelected with that dumbass rhetoric.
Adam, what do you think about these clowns showing up for Trump's?
Yeah, my fellow clown New Yorkers.
I don't have a massive issue with what she said, only because it's indicative of how divisive and fracturized and tribalized politics is these days. You would think, all right, you're the governor of New York. You should govern everybody. You know, you should probably try to be a leader. You know, this is someone who wasn't necessarily like elected per se. She came in on the heels after Andrew Cuomo was sort of tossed out, and she was, anointed. And she had a very close election with Lee Zeldin.
Lee Zeldin.
But
Republican District 1.
I think this is a story that is here today, gone tomorrow. I don't think most Americans, from a national perspective, can even tell you who the governor of New York is, Kathy Hochul. Will people in New York remember this? For sure. And Tom brought up some stats. What do you always say that people talk, numbers scream? New York, in 2020, the election, Biden 60%, Trump 38%. So it was a 22% difference. 5.2 million people voted for Biden and 3.2 million people voted for Trump. So you got to flip 2 million votes in the state of New York. The thing that I'm more concerned with is, on the heels of that, the people came out and they were like, and we got to get rid of AOC. And I was like, you know what? That seems a little bit more reasonable and feasible because this is her district in the Bronx, right? That she won in 2018 was her first term, I believe. She won with 80% of the vote almost. 2020, because representatives run every 2 years, so every year they're governing and then they're campaigning. They're governing and they're campaigning. 2020, she won with 70% of the vote, and then in 2022, she won with another 70% of the vote, meaning her opponent had like 27% of the vote. So as much as we're seeing this rally in the Bronx,
what's the chance of him winning?
AOC is not.
What's the chance of Trump winning in New York?
2%.
What's the chance of him winning in New York?
15%.
Tom,
I'm 10-15% right now.
you're 10-15%.
What about you?
I'm probably closer to 5 to 10% of him winning New York. But let me tell you this part. If he does pull off New York and beats them, there is a revolution going on.
Yes.
Okay?
It's a
if
mandate.
he beats New York. If he beats New York, overnight, you think the highlight video was wild of people crying in 2016 when imagine the people in New York who are going to be crying just because of him. You almost like, I would honestly pay $100,000. I would pay $1 million on Minnect, if Kathy Hochul was on Minnect, to do a 15-minute call while they announce that Trump beats her in New York and takes New York. If that were to happen, I'd pay $1 million just to look at her face for 15 minutes around her family, just to see how she reacts.
Fully agree with you, by the way.
This is the
Pure
same
entertainment for me.
Yeah.
This is the same Kathy Hochul that not only thinks that they're all clowns, she's the one, remember, that said black kids don't know what the word computer is. So she literally thinks that we are stupid, that black people are ignorant, and these are the people that are in charge. Same as Gavin Newsom, they think that they are better than us, they think that they're elitist, and I can't wait for the house of cards to start coming down and people like this to get the hell out of
When is she up for re-election?
It couldn't be soon enough. Hopefully tomorrow. I don't even know.
Well, let's go through some of the stuff here with the economy. Tom, why don't you give us an update what's going on here? I'm going to read the story. I'm going to turn it over to you. Insider says why mortgage rates are doomed to stay above 7% for the foreseeable future. Okay. And this is a insider story. 7% for the foreseeable future. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. With the Federal Reserve unlikely to raise rates before September, housing market analysts expect mortgage rates to remain above 7% for the most of 2024. Fannie Mae predicts the 30-year mortgage rate to reach 7.1 the upcoming quarter, significantly higher than the previous 6.4, while Freddie Mac's baseline scenario includes one rate cut towards the end of the year. Wow, Freddie Mac is now only thinking one, but maintains elevated mortgage rates throughout. Rising inflation caution Fed policies have led to revised forecasts for borrowing costs. Freddie Mac's chief economist, Doug Duncan, noted, we see rates remaining closer to 7% through the end of the year. The market has reacted to discouraging consumer price index reports, complicating the outlook for potential buyers and sellers. High mortgage rates have disincentivized homeowners from selling, as many are locked in rates below 4%. Tom.
Yep. And this is connected to this morning, Kashkari, my favorite guy with the Fed, actually, because I think he's pretty balanced, but he's been out there talking. He was on CNBC this morning. He's out of the Fed Bank in Minneapolis. And he basically points out and says, listen, we need to see a lot more positive inflation data before we cut rates this summer. So what does that mean for you and me? What that means for you and me, Rob, do we have the list of, what we think the rates are going to be? Here it is. And this is what we were talking about just now. Here's what it means, America. It means that between now and the end of the year, 7 to 6.75%, meaning at the end of the year, 6.6, 6.75. That's what it's going to be about the end of the year. And at the end of next year, looking at like 6. So when they say 7% for the foreseeable future, it's probably 7% through third quarter, and maybe get a little cut, and then it's not going to be dramatic, Pat. It's going to be like 6.75. So that's where it's going. And so if you're going to buy a house and then you're thinking you're going to refi 6 months later, no, you'll probably refi 2 years later. So that's what I think people should look at when you're making your personal plan. If you can afford that house and you can afford the payment and you can afford 6.75, that's what you're going to have toward the end of this year. And it's probably going to be 2 years before you get cuts to a point where you can make a refi that makes sense.
2 years.
Yeah.
So you're taking 2026.
Correct, because the end of next year, they're only looking at 6% mortgages. And this is all the people that are out there.
Now, let me ask you a question,
Mac,
Tom.
Fannie Mae, National Association.
Tom, let me ask you a question. Say Trump gets elected. What do you think is the likelihood of him firing Powell and replacing him?
Powell's been such a lightning rod. Remember, he's elected to a term. So would Trump invoke authority and then get him not elected to his next term? I think Trump's going to look for a new Fed leader, yes.
Okay,
but
and when does that happen?
He can't fire him.
When is Powell's? Can you look at when Powell's term is up? When is Jerome Powell's term up?
Yep.
Mr. Chair.
Because I thought it was before midterms.
Oh, wow. Okay, so is it
26, May 15, 2026, yes. So coming into Trump's midterm election, he would have an opportunity to change the Fed chair.
So he's staying till 2026. Okay.
Which is why people think
Does
that
that say
those
2028?
No, it says as a member of the board
gotcha.
ends, but being the chair, May 15, 2026. So when you look at this, then you going back and you saying the fact that it's probably going to stay around the 6s, even in 2025, seems very reasonable. You're thinking 2026, like Q3, it may drop to like what, 4s or 5s?
Yeah. So if you got So if you got a 6.75 or a 7 this year, 24.
Yeah.
2 years from now, probably a 5.5, 5 3/4, and you can refi it.
5.5. You're not thinking we're seeing 4s in a while.
No.
Okay, I agree. I don't
Maybe
think
a 5 for really good credit, and you buy half a point. That kind of a deal.
For sure. But 4.5, that's not coming anytime soon. Those are the days of what we had in the past. Yeah, I agree with you. But now watch this. Here's the crazy part. And I'm going to come to you right afterwards, Adam. Housing prices hits another record high as affordability crisis deepens. So rates are remaining high. They're not dropping, but affordability crisis deepens because prices are not going down. So let me read this part here to you. So housing prices hits a new record with the median U.S. households hits $387,600, a 4% increase from the previous year, according to Redfin. Despite a slight dip in mortgage rates, 7.02, the monthly mortgage payment remains as high as $28.54. That's the average mortgage payment. Lisa Sturdivant, MLS chief economist, notes elevated mortgage rates and high home prices have been keeping some buyers on the sideline this spring. You think that they've been sitting on the sidelines? The affordability crisis is driven by years of underbuilding, a rise in mortgage rates, and expensive construction materials. This has created a golden handcuff effect where homeowners with low mortgage rates from the pandemic rate reluctant to sell, further limiting supply. Sam Brinton, a Redmond premier agent, says move up buyers feel stuck because they're ready for their next house, but it just doesn't make financial sense to sell with the current interest rates. He's right. Adam, thoughts on this?
Well, like with anything, it depends on who you are in the situation. Because there's a story here right below that, the baby boomers are approaching peak burden of the economy. So here's what I would tell you. If you're a young person looking to buy a house, it's not your turn, buddy. What's the reason? Supply and demand. The story right here basically said housing prices hit another record high as affordability crisis deepens. Listen, when you're going to buy something, you have to ask yourself, is it cheap or is it expensive? And that's how you can kind of weigh your options. It is incredibly expensive to buy a house right now. Now, I know a lot of people, we've been sort of given the propaganda of like, if you're renting, you're throwing away money. If you're renting, you're throwing away money. But it all depends on where you're at in life. If you're young and you're just starting out your career and maybe have the opportunity to live with a buddy, live with a roommate, live with a girlfriend, whatever it is, renting is fine. And just pump all your money into the market. Now, if you're a baby boomer, typically baby boomers, when they approach 65, when I started in the financial world, I heard a stat about baby boomers that starting in 2010, I believe, for the next 20 years, 10,000 baby boomers will turn 65 every single day. Boom, 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 boom. Every single day, birthday, blowing out 65 candles. So here's the deal. Usually, typically, as they retire, they downsize. Their kids are out of the house. They're like, all right, forget it. We're moving to Florida. The reality is at this point, since COVID and since these interest rates, they're not going anywhere. They're like, why would I sell my house that has a 2% mortgage, 3% mortgage, 4% interest rate to go spend 7% on a mortgage? It doesn't make any sense. So they're staying put. So supply and demand is limited. So if you're the Vinny of the world or a younger person of the world, you're like, I'm looking for a house. Too bad. Now, what I would tell the mortgage brokers out there and the realtors out of the world, here's a little advice to you guys. Here are 3 words that made me a lot of money. When you're calling on people and you're calling on potential clients, here are 3 words you could use to pique someone's interest. Things have changed. Because when things change, people feel motivated to do something. Right now, what's happening in the economy with the mortgage rates and everything that's going on, it's status quo. So if you're out there being like, how can I make some money? How can I basically deliver a different message to the consumer, to my client? Let them know that things have changed, whatever it is. And even if it's that they have to refinance in a few years, that's something that can change.
All right, guys, can you check your phones to see if alerts coming from you or not, Adam? See if it's turned off or not. It's one of ours. Rob, if you can check it. So but for me, like the average person, Tom, is listening, home ownership, dream, investment. Should I get into one? Should I not get into one? The slow play. Can you go, Rob, to history of rate of return in real estate? Type in history of rate of return in real estate. Okay, if you can do that.
I like what
I'm actually really curious to know what happens after 1981. So go to history on housing. Okay, click on that rate of return. Click on that, Rob.
Before you show it, can we guess?
No, what are we guessing though, right? Because what I want to know is, I want to know in rate of return. That's not the one I'm looking for. I'm looking something like that. Yeah, that's I'm going to go back.
Can I make an assumption before we see it?
Go ahead.
I think that the stock market is double whatever real estate is.
Okay, but
so I think real estate is around 5%, and I think the stock market is around 10%.
Watch this. In the 30s, real estate dropped 1.2. Stock was up. Stock down. So that's obviously Great Depression. 0.9. That decade.
Yep.
Cash 1, bonds 4, gold 5.3, inflation minus 2%. So it's the opposite. 40s, stock 8.5, real estate 8.1. So they're about the same. Inflation 5.4. 50s, stock 19.5%. Vinny, this is good for you to see. Real estate 3, inflation 2.2. The difference between real estate and stock, look at that. 16.5% above real estate. Gold's only 1%. 60s, 7.7. Real estate 2.2. So 5.5 above. Inflation 2.5. 70 stocks 5.9. Real estate beats. And that's because of boomers are becoming in their mid-20s, 1946. Yeah, that's cause of boomers are buying houses now. So 8.7, 5.9%. Look at gold. That's when Nixon, we went off the gold standard, so 29%. Inflation 7.4. 80 stock market 17.4, 17.3. Real estate 5.9. So the difference is what? 12%, inflation 5.1, 90s 18% to 2.7 in real estate, 2.9, 2000 stock drops, okay, this is the 2008 debacle, so -1, real estate 4%, and then inflation 2.6, 2010, 13.4 to 3.8, 2020s, 11.9 to 10.2, which is about the same, but if you look at this is what I want you to think about. Real estate's only had a minus 1% decade once, okay? Stocks has had it twice, but look what it is. It's not anything crazy. It's 0.9 and it's 1%. So you're not losing money in the stock market over a decade, but look how many double-digit real estate has versus the stock market. Stock market has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double-digit. Real estate only has 1. So why am I showing you this? Reason why I'm showing you this, Tom, right before we got started with the podcast, you said, and I Googled it, I looked at it, with the reports being said that the S&P is about to get to what?
Yeah, UBS came out and said that they're going to put a target forecast at 5,600. They think that the forces on the stock market are good, even though the consumer can feel bad.
Okay, so check this out, Vinny. So while real estate is not showing any kind of optimism or what could happen with it, stock market's about to go to 5,600. Okay, so if the stock market's about to hit 5,600, where's S&P at right now? When I say stock market, I mean S&P. Go show up where S&P's at 5,000 right now.
5,300.
Okay, so it's going to go up another 300 points. 300 points on 5,000, 5,300 is what? 7%, let's just say 6%, 5.8% is what it is. Okay, so if we go to real estate, the difference with real estate, where the real estate investor is going to make the argument, is the following. In order to buy stocks, I'm putting $100,000 of my money in there, where I'm competing on, if the market does 10%, I make 10% on what? $100,000, which is what? $10,000. But if I use $100,000 to buy property, I'm buying how big of a property? A $500,000 house, let's just say, or condo, right? Yeah. So $100,000, I'm pretty much margin, not necessarily, but I'm using debt. So my $100,000 on a $500,000 house, now I'm paying a loan on $400,000. Let's just say I'm paying $3,500 a month, $3,000, $3,500 a month, whatever the number is, right? So watch this. If that $500,000 property in 2 years goes to $550,000, okay, now I got what? $50,000. So $50,000 on the original $100,000 is what? 50%. But that $50,000, when you choose to sell, you're going to have to pay what? 4% commissions, give or take, on $600,000. So $600,000, 4% commission is what? $24,000. So your $50,000, 24 is gone for what? Fees. Yep. You net 26 over 2 years, so it's really 13% per year, not even considering the upkeep that you have, right? Of course. So that's the argument real estate's going to make versus the stock market. But at the same time, the problem with some people that are making that are just waiting for real estate, they're not getting involved in what's going on with the market today. They're missing out on NVIDIA. They're missing out on a bunch of AI stocks. They're missing out on not being a small cap, mid cap. The other day, I'm at the Goldman Sachs event. Very interesting, Tom. Very interesting. The family, everybody that has sold a bit, was 60 families there. Minimum net worth to be in that room was $1 billion, okay? And the high was $30 billion. Incredible things to learn. One of the guys gets up there and says the craziest thing. They said, who's your... how do you feel about the future of the stock market? He says, I fully believe the market's going to do very well. He says, based on whose analysis? He says, because the number one analyst in my life for the last 45 years is my grandmother. He says, excuse me? He says, yeah, my grandmother. Why? My grandmother's 99 years old, and she still tells her stockbroker and her financial advisor, I only want to buy growth stocks.
Wow.
Think about
She's
that.
in her 90s.
Did you understand, Tom, what happened right there? She's 99 years old. How many more years you got left to live? 1, 2, 3, 4, any day?
She should be in bonds.
She could be gone right now, for all we know.
Bonds and cash.
That's crazy.
She's saying, put me in stocks, buddy, because I believe in America.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that is the part that I think sometimes, this is the part where diversification makes sense, to have a little bit of stocks, a little bit of gold. If you're comfortable, a little bit of crypto, a little bit of real estate. That's the part some people are missing out on. But this chart shows it all. Go ahead, Adam.
Nah, this is Tom, as you just said. Here's your metaphor. People speak, but numbers yell. Say it.
Words talk, numbers scream.
There it is. So look, what I see here is that it takes a literal worldwide pandemic for real estate to actually compete with the stock market. How could you say such a thing? Just look at the numbers. They've had one time during the pandemic that they've been above double digits, real estate. Stock market 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 times since the 1930s. The average stock market return is what? 10% year over year. Sometimes it's closer to 20%.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that real estate is bad. It's just not the rate of return that you can get from the stock market. Now, why do people invest in real estate? Number one, it's tangible. It's easy to understand. It's a lifestyle choice. You've got kids, you got school districts, you've got neighborhood, you got safety. It's something that you can touch and hold, and your family can be there, feel safe. It's like a big warm hug around your family. I get that. But if you're just looking for sheer numbers and sheer return, it's not even close. The last thing here is 50% of the people, 2/3 of Americans buy houses, 1/3 rent. Only 50% invest in the stock market, 50% don't. What's the difference here? I would argue that it's just way harder to understand the stock market. It's bulls, it's bears, it's bells, it's red, it's green, it's up, it's down. It's which way is it? It's like the S&Ps, the Dows, the Nasdaq. People just don't understand, but people understand real estate. But money talks, bullshit walks. It's clear stock market is better than real estate.
Tom.
Yeah, you have to look at it this way. So when people saying, wow, all this conversation the last 15 minutes, what do I do with this? Here's what you do. You look at your income and you say to yourself, I'm going to be paying for a house some way. So which do I do it? Do I rent something here, or here? And what is that rent? What is that price? And then you have to take a look at the price of renting. And I always tell people, if you buy a house, look at your price of renting like this. Your property tax divided by 12, because you got to pay property tax at the end of the year. So it's $6,000, let's say. That's $500 a month rent you're paying to the city, to the county, to have a house there. And the interest rate that you're paying, the rent on the money. And so go look at that. And I like to equivocate what is just the base rent. And think about it. You're renting money and you're renting dirt. The rented dirt is your property tax. Renting money is your interest on your mortgage. And so I think you look at that, and now is a time for conservative living and to be careful about overextending yourself, especially in a time of inflation.
But I want to show this, Tom. I want to show this. When I bought, Rob, can you pull this up? This is the part why dollar cost averaging wins long term to people who are not expert investors. Everybody wants to time stuff, right? Well, if I would have only timed it well, look at this year, 2023 Magnificent 7 rate of return. Okay, go in, Rob, zoom in a little bit. Okay, so this is just 2023. Okay, Apple last year did 48%. Microsoft up 57%. Alphabet 59, Amazon 81, Tesla 102, Meta 194. Look at NVIDIA.
Wow.
239% last year.
Crazy.
They showed a number the other day that if you would have put $10,000 in NVIDIA, I don't know what the number was 7 years ago, 8 years ago, compared to the other stocks, it was number one. You're $10,000, now we're $3.1 million. Insane. Now, obviously, you hear those stories, you feel like shit. You're like, man, I should have done that. Who the hell knew NVIDIA is going to do what it's going to do? But the point is, what you can predict is the following. The reason why the stock market, to me, and I know some people are not for it, is America. I invest in capitalism and innovation. Mm-hmm. I invest in capitalism and innovation, knowing that innovators are always going to find a way to improve something. Now watch this. Watch what's going on here. Here's the opposite side of what we're talking about, okay? Tesla. Okay, let's go through this. Tesla CEO Elon Musk says he opposes EV tax incentives, tariffs on Chinese EVs. Why would he say such a thing? Let's go through it. Rob, is this a video?
Yes.
Go ahead and play this clip. Go for it.
In favor of no tariffs. I'm also actually in favor of no tax incentives for EVs, but provided that there are also the tax incentives for oil and gas must also be eliminated. So I'm in favor of no tariffs and no incentives for electric vehicles or for oil and gas. And if they're all taken away, I think that would be for the best.
So it's back to what you were saying about truth. You want the truth of the price?
I think generally things that inhibit freedom of exchange or distort the market are not good.
Okay, you're saying that, right? Now, keep this in mind. Tom, while he's saying this, talking about the EV market, just 10 years ago, you know what America's tariff was on anybody trying to sell cars in U.S.? So think about BMW Germany. Think about Toyota Japan. Think about China trying to sell a car here, right? Okay. What do you think the tariff was? Do you know the number on this?
What year?
10 years ago. Pre-Trump.
23%.
I don't think it was a tariff.
There is a tariff, but what do you think the number was?
Very minimal.
Give me the number.
5%.
2.5%.
Yeah.
I went crazy.
Trump took it from 2.5% on China to what? 25%.
I said 23.
Do you know what Biden just did?
What?
Can you pull this up, Rob? Put Biden, China, tariffs, 100%. Okay? So Biden just did this.
100%?
100% tariff. That's 2 weeks ago. 100% tariff rate on EVs will protect American manufacturers from China's unfair trade practices. This action advances President Biden's vision of ensuring the future of the auto industry will be made in America by American workers. So check this out. He makes this 100% tariff. 4x is what Trump did.
Wow.
Now, why would he do this? Have you guys heard of BYD? Have you heard about the BYD cars?
The Seagull.
Okay, Rob, go to BYD. So this is China's BYD car, okay? If you go to BYD, this is their car. Okay, this is what they build, okay? Rob, can you go to cheapest BYD car price? Cheapest BYD car price. Look at this, $9,700.
What?
Yes.
The Seagull.
Its starting price is $9,700, which is about 5% cheaper than a previous model. Their cars are getting cheaper, Vinny. The new BYD Seagull has 30 kilowatts and battery, good for 190 miles, and 252 is the next one, but it's $9,700. And comparable to our cheapest EV that we have, which is $35,000, they're nearly 4 times cheaper than us. 4 times cheaper than us. So now, if the tariff is at 25% only, and they bring this car to U.S. to sell, you know how much he's going U.S.? $12,300. Okay?
Still a great deal.
It's nothing compared to what we have.
Oh, man.
But even 100%, if they put 100% tariff, these cars are coming here and they're going to sell it for $19,400. So when Elon is saying this, I want to read this to you from 2 people. One is from Elon. So check this out. Elon Musk said this is Chinese car companies were the most competitive and will have significant success outside of China. Keyword he uses, depending on what kind of tariffs or trade barriers are established. Listen to his words, Rob, if you can just literally right there. Chinese automakers were the most competitive and will have significant success outside of China, depending on what kind of tariffs or trade barriers are established. He said this 4 days ago. When did Biden put that 100% tariff? May 15th. What's today's date? The 28th. So he said this on the 24th, 9 days after Biden puts the 100% EV tariff on there. And by the way, do you guys know right now, I have to show you this chart. And by the way, let me go to another one for you. CEO of Stellantis. Tom, can you tell everybody who Stellantis is? Because most people don't know who Stellantis is.
Chrysler. It's the new way to pronounce Chrysler as of 2 years ago. They kind of rebranded.
Look what he says.
Daimler Chrysler.
The entire industry is worried about the magnitude of what Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares calls it, ready, the China offensive. Companies that can't match China's low-cost EVs are going to be, ready, keywords, in an existential problem. Told Bloomberg. Tavares told Bloomberg. An existential problem. These guys are worried because we can't make the cars as cheap as they make it. We can't. We can't make the cars.
It's all the stuff because everything's coming from China. All the parts. Well,
this is the reason that manufacturing was outsourced.
I got a bunch of charts I'll show, but I'll go to you guys right now. Give me your thoughts on this, and I'll continue with this.
Look, at the end of the day, I mean, what do you say all about capitalism, Pat? You have the freedom to buy, the freedom to sell, the freedom to try, and the freedom to fail.
Yes.
The reason that all these trade agreements and outsourcing and manufacturing is because they'll work for nothing in China. They got child labor. They got no labor laws. They go, what's going on? I mean, how much would you pay for an iPhone if it was made in America? $5,000, $1,000, whatever it is. Whether it's toys, whether it's products, whatever type of goods, whatever type of pharmaceuticals, it's just cheaper in China because the GDP per capita in China is like 5 to 10 grand a year, where in America it's 50, 70 grand. The reality is we're better at services. We're better at technology, better at STEM, science, tech, engineering, math. That's what we're better at. And let the people that will work for cheap, whether it's China, whether it's Mexico, whether it's India, whether it's certain parts of Southeast Asia, work for basically nothing. And I'm not surprised that, the Reagan doctrine back in the 80s, Tom, you probably know better than me, was free trade, open markets, pro-immigration, and since Trump, it's reversed. It's anti-immigration. I totally understand that with the border. It's definitely not free trade. It's tariffs. But low-key, sneaky-peeky, Joe Biden is tougher on China than Trump, regarding tariffs. I wasn't expecting that.
Bullshit. Let me explain. It's election year, and cars are made by the UAW. This is this tariff is attempting to win votes from the 100%. UAW. And that is what's going on this year, number one. Number two, the Stellantis CEO is right. He called the tariff a trap. And here's why it's a trap. Not too many years ago, OPEC decided to reduce the price of oil on a worldwide level to squeeze very specifically the North Dakota shale and the Alberta, Canada oil sands because they were beginning to pull oil out of those other types of resources as opposed to just large oil pools that live under Saudi Arabia. In other words, this oil that was in North Dakota and Alberta was harder to get out. Well, guess what? They needed oil around $55 a barrel or so to make it profitable. So the Saudis said, I'm going to keep oil all the way down at $45. Remember that? Under 50. So that made it economically infeasible for North America to get that kind of oil. Guess what happened? Innovation struck, capitalism struck, and they said, well, if it's going to be $55, if it's going to be $45, we got to work on it. And they actually got to the point where they took about 12 to 15% off the extraction cost because capitalist inventions stepped forward. So guess what? The Saudis tried to trap it, and now we can get oil sands out of Alberta, and we can get the shale out of North Dakota even better. What does that mean? The Stellantis CEO is right. He said, this is a trap. Let's put the pressure on ourselves to do it better, to do it cheaper, and to get it done if that's going to be the way of it.
There's one problem, though, Tom. There's one problem with this, and I'm all with you because I'm all capitalist.
I don't think you can close the whole gap.
No, but hear me out. Let push back on what I'm about to say to you and find leaks on what we just found here. I want you to push back on what I'm seeing because I know you follow this closely. So can you pull up, Rob, the Q1 results of, not that one, go to Q1 results of stocks right there. This is EV stock performance in America. EV stock performance in America. Look at the lowest one. You can't find that one, can you? You see the orange one all the way at the bottom? That's Fisker.
Yeah, exactly.
Fisker is down 98% for the year.
Oh, man.
Vinny, did you hear? Q1. Fisker is down 98%. Look at Rivian, down 48%. Can you zoom in on all this stuff on the right? We can see the numbers better for the audience. Zoom in a little bit. It won't allow you. Okay, there you go. NIO is another one, down 47%. Xpeng is down 45%. Lucid is down 31%. Polestar is down 30%. Oh. VinFast is down 29%. Tesla is down 29.2%. iAuto is down minus 12.5%. And then the only one that's up 24.8% is this Nikola, which I think is a hydrogen driving car. That's a very unique, different story that's going on there, but nothing crazy, right? So you look at this, and it's okay, why are all these guys down, including Tesla? By the way, during the same period, I looked at to see how BYD performed, maybe to say, well, everybody is down. BYD is only down 0.5% for the year. It's the China car. Now, go to the next slide, Rob, if you could. So, not this one. Go to the other one. Okay, so here, this is interesting. Minerals in electrical vehicles versus gas cars. Green is what it takes to build EVs, okay? Green is the EVs, black is the gas cars, okay? So zoom in a little bit from the biggest green to the smallest green. So to build an EV, you need 66.3 kilograms of graphite, okay? Then you need 53.2 kilograms of copper. For gas, you only need 22.3 kilograms of copper for a gasoline car. For EV, you need 39.9 of nickel. You need 24.5 of manganese. Okay, you only need 11.2 kilograms for a gas. You need 13.3 of cobalt, 8.9 of lithium. Anyways, this continues, right? All these rare metals that you need. Well, guess what country, natural resources, has the most of these rare metals? Go to the next slide.
China?
Red China.
Oh.
Weird.
It's not even weird. It's luck. It's got nothing to do with weird. It's like Venezuela has gold. It's like Saudi Arabia has oil. Yeah, Venezuela has oil. You know, the part that is deeply concerning for me on why they're able to dominate is because they have the minerals in their country to build it so cheap. So now go to this next thing here. Historically, I want you to think about this thing here. Rob, don't pull this up yet. I don't want them to see it. Historically, look at me here. Historically, Tom, Vinny, Adam, me, all of us, when we think about a automaker internationally selling a car in America and dominating, what company do we think about?
Porsche,
Volkswagen, Toyota, Nissan,
Ferrari.
Okay. Where is Volkswagen from?
Germany.
Okay. Where is Toyota from?
Japan.
Tell me a single car that's ever come to U.S. from China that's dominated. Tell me one single car.
Honestly, I don't know.
I don't think so.
That's the point, because they can't compete on the gasoline side.
Oh, got you.
But they can in EV. So watch this number that I just saw. This next chart may give you the chills, because this is probably the most scariest chart out of all of them that the next one that he's going to pull up. Go ahead and pull it up. Check this out. Zoom in. This is from 2010 to 2024. China cars are heading mostly to new drivers in emerging markets. Look at this. Whoa. 2010, China's last place. 11, last place. 12, last place. Last place, last place. 2020, they pass up U.S., and we're declining. They pass up South Korea. Then they pass up Germany. They just passed up Japan. China is officially number one. In how many years from last to first? In less than 4 years. Look at it.
Yeah, look at 2019.
From 21, in 3 years, they went from last to first place, simply because of their EVs. And by the way, the CEO of this BYD company is being interviewed. It's a lady. And they're like, so what do you think about the fact that, U.S. is putting all these tariffs, and, what does it need to be for you guys to go to America? Because BYD's not in America yet. She says, well, in an interview, if I find a link, I'll send it to you. You should see how she talks. She talks super confidently, like she doesn't give a shit. She says, well, in order for us to do business with America, America has to create a more friendly climate, and they just don't have that right now. If they make a more friendly climate, we would love to sell our cars in America. So, Tom, you see the power they have with minerals. How do other countries compete with China when it comes down to EVs?
Well, there's a deeper question, because the number one mineral that you need is lithium. And this becomes an energy question, because you know what the greatest source of lithium on Earth is?
Don't tell me. Lithium. Afghanistan?
The ocean.
Oh.
And however,
Close.
And by the way,
it's down the street.
The water crisis,
yeah,
you could desalinate the ocean, but it takes energy, lots of energy, and then you have waste products that come out. But check this out. If you go to, I think it's 5th generation, 6th generation, Pat, nukes, and you put them on the coasts, you can have all the lithium and you can have all of these desalinated water you want. It's just the will to do it. But right now, the playing field is tipped toward China on the raw materials to make EVs, the same way that in the 70s, before oil exploration and efficiency, came to, the U.S., OPEC was the supplier. So they had all that. So they could make the rules. And right now, China is going to be exporting these things all over Europe to a very willing Europe. And it's the UAW
But Tom, you see the power that they have.
Oh, it's huge market power. I'm acknowledging this is massive market power. And what you need to do, you need to have the will. Like if you were President, Pat, and I was your Secretary of Energy, I'd say, Pat, we need next gen nukes, and we'll have desalination. We're going to figure out the water crisis that way. And we're also going to use that incredible amount of energy to get the lithium out of seawater. And we're going to support the auto manufacturing right here in the United States.
But Tom, how much of this 100% tariff to China is going to affect the relationship with the Biden administration and China? Because if you think about it, they're obviously, he's in their pocket. The last time a president tried to, hold them accountable for taxes and tariffs, a virus came out of that same country and destroyed the world for years. So
I stand by
on that, but I want to see what Tom.
Okay. I stand by what I said, that this is an election year, number one. Mm-hmm. This is also, and by the way, you saw on that chart, all the EV companies are together. The core EV companies that are going to survive are together at 30% down. Tesla, Lucid. That's where they are. And Rivian has got its problems. Fisker has got huge problems. And that's where they are. But I think this is election year. This is the UAW, and this is protectionist policy.
Well, here's what I'll say, Vinny, because you're asking the right question. Because the last time Trump did this and put tariffs on top of tariffs on top of tariffs, he lost the election.
Yes.
And whether you want to say he got involved, China got involved, did whatever they did, who cares?
Yeah.
Xi is right now sitting down and saying, wait a minute, this guy put 100% tariff on us, and we can't negotiate with him. I can't talk to him. You know, at least the other guy would call me and tell me, hey, just so you know, I'm about to put tariffs on you, but you may want to change your position with us, right?
Yes.
So who knows? China may also take a different position here and flip on him. Rob, can you play that clip of the CEO talking about why they're not coming to the States? And look, I want you to look at her and see her temperament. Okay, just see how she's answering. Is she answering confidently or nervous? Go ahead.
I don't think we don't consider U.S. market, at this time, because it's too complicated politically. You don't need necessarily to go to every market. You only go to the market you feel is ready. Everything is
that's a shot.
Waiting for you. Then that's our approach. Like one is a BYD resource. Let us focus on other markets. It's already occupy a lot of resources.
Phenomenal music.
And the second, it's not necessary for us to come to US.
It's
maybe
not
sometimes,
necessary.
but I don't see that.
Look at her.
I don't see
her
that.
fingers are on the Andrew Tate.
Yeah, she is. She's totally Tate.
I
She's
don't
in the
think
G.
Yeah, but you know, while you're listening to this, here's what some critics in the U.S. are saying. You ready for this, Tom? Here's what they're saying. Some critics are saying, well, you know, China's facing deep challenges because, you know, they're running out of inventory of the amount of people to sell cars to. What are they going to do? How many total EVs do you think have been sold in China?
Of these type of vehicles?
Total, not just any EV. That includes Tesla. How many EVs you think exist in China?
Jeez.
Tom, there's 1.5 billion people there. Total number of EVs. What do you think?
That they've made over there?
No,
that
driving.
People are using them.
I know the number. I want to know what you guys are going to say. Give me a number on what you think.
Out of how many billion?
Out of 1.5 billion. And by the way, we even looked up how many total people they have that can drive a car. It's around 530 million people
can drive
that can drive a car.
So I'm going to say 500,000.
No, it's not 500,000. It's more than that.
I was going low. I thought that was going to be a trick question.
5 million of them?
21 million, 22 million.
Out of 500.
So check this out. 21, 22, what's the number right there? It's a
very low percentage.
20.4 million, okay? So 20.4 million legal plug-in passenger cars, okay? Out of the 21 EVs that they have, there's 530 million drivers. They can 25x if they wanted to go to all EVs. And simultaneously, you know what's backfiring on California? Do you know what's backfiring on California? Rob, I'm going to send this. I don't know why we're
everything.
Getting it. You know, well, no, this. Rob, I'm going to send this clip to you.
I mean, where the hell do I plug this in?
Tom, California is a shit show. With especially, but by the way, because...
You know, I really wish you would stop complimenting California.
Yeah,
it's worse than that.
Forgive me. Rob, play this clip. Play this clip on what California is doing. California is experiencing the weirdest problem. Here's a problem, Vinny. They now have so many people driving EVs that guess what's happening?
No electricity?
No, they don't know where to get the gas tax money anymore.
Oh, wow.
So they push so many people away from gas. Now they're going to start taxing EV drivers.
What?
So did you understand what I just said to you? So imagine Newsom is like, we need responsible electric vehicles, and we're going to start taxing gasoline. Now that revenue is declining, like, shit, we gotta tax EVs. Watch this.
California is now planning on taxing citizens 30 cents for every mile you drive.
With more than 30 million registered passenger vehicles in California, the state says it shells out more than $8 billion a year to maintain the roads those cars drive on. But because so many Californians now own electric vehicles, the gas tax money is starting to dry up, which is why Caltrans wants to instead charge drivers per mile and is now enrolling people in a 6-month pilot program to test out the concept.
The state of California is now planning on taxing citizens 30 cents for every mile you drive. They claim that they aren't making enough money from gas taxes because of all the electric vehicles. The decision from the California government to plan on taxing citizens 30 cents for every mile you drive has garnered controversy. Commenters claim that you get what you vote for and that this is a bad decision from the California government.
You can pause it by in a pilot program 6 months.
Yeah.
So can you imagine, we're going to be a 2035 EV responsible state. Oh, shit. If we go all EV, where the hell do we get the gas tax money from? We don't. Damn, we got to start taxing the EV drivers that were responsible, that paid $10,000 more for what it is to buy an EV than a regular gas-guzzling car. We lost money. Now, and we got disappointed, upset voters.
So I know all those people that were like, you know what? The Green New Deal, let's all go. Let's all go with them. And now you're shit. Like now you look like an asshole. Now you're like, wait a minute. We did what you said, and now we're gonna get 30 cents a mile. Think about that, Pat. People drive from Valencia to LAX. That's what my sisters commute. That's ridiculous. Every single day. Hey, let's keep voting, dude. California, huh? I might be moving back.
So if you have let's say you have a 25-mile commute. Or a 20-mile commute. Just say that's a legitimate
20 there, 20
commute.
back, Tom. 40 miles, 30 cents. What is that?
$12 a day.
That's nope. That's almost as dumb as that New York congestion.
$60 a week.
And not to pile on our friend Gavin Newsom, there was another story in the Wall Street Journal about how, I think the minimum wage in California is 17-ish. 16, 17, but they were trying to raise it to 25, and Gavin Newsom signed this into law in October, and now there's a new story that he's reversing course. I sent this to you. It's a Wall Street Journal story on Slack. It says California's $25 an hour minimum wage boomerang. Governor Gavin Newsom says the law he signed last October would add to the state's fiscal woes, and he ignored the warnings at the time, and now he's trying to reverse course. Lo and behold, why? Because the burdensome budget costs are threatening liberal programs. So basically, these policies that they're implementing have ramifications. They're like, oh, my bad, we didn't do the math on it. What was the story that we did like a month ago where 50. They lost $24 billion in trying to figure out the homeless problem? They're just hemorrhaging money in California, and they just keep voting for these people.
Yeah. And actually, California's
there it is,
Medicaid,
$24 billion on homeless.
Well, California spent $24 billion on homelessness in 5 years.
But it worked because is it supposed to multiply? Because they're doing it. I don't know where that money's going. Is it to bring more homeless there? Because it's not doing anything, bro. The guy's a clown. And anybody that keeps voting for these type of people, and when you have opportunities to vote for somebody else like Larry Eldo, I don't feel bad anymore. I don't feel bad. Good for you. Keep voting for them, and that's the shit that you're going to get. I don't feel bad. My sister and I told them all, you guys need to move the hell out of California.
Yeah, and you have to, California has a huge problem, and it's called free socialist health care. And the Medicaid that California has, and when I say it's a problem, it is a good thing if someone who has no health insurance can get care for their son or daughter that breaks their ankle playing soccer. And what California is dealing with is they decided to stop reimbursing hospitals at the same rate. And so hospitals that were in areas where they had a lot of Medicaid patients, Vinny, they closed. And we covered this on the podcast. Remember that, Pat, about a year ago? We caught that they basically screwed themselves because the for-profit hospital says, I can't afford to operate the hospital here and here, so I'm closing it. I'm closing the ER. What do you mean? No ER. There's no ER.
Wow.
We'll do surgeries with all things like this, come in to have your baby, all these things, but we're closing the ER so that they don't have these destitute people coming up. So guess what? That move by Gavin Newsom actually reduced the health care available to the most vulnerable Californians. Good job.
Watch this. California's $25 an hour wage, the one Adam was talking about. Wage boomerang, go a little lower. This is what they're proposing, right? Progressives in Sacramento rarely think twice before burdening businesses, but lo and behold, they are having second thoughts about their California. Oh, no shit, Sherlock. Like, it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Because it's burdensome budget cut. California Democratic legislators scrambling this week to delay the state's higher health care minimum. Oh, they're finally starting to figure out, do you raise minimum wage? The state's budget deficit has ballooned $45 billion, Mr. Newsom's project, that the new health care minimum wage could cost the state $4 billion more. You're owing a higher Medicare cost in compensation for workers at state-owned facilities. Legislative analysis, Newsom signed a law anyways. Thus, the minimum wage for healthcare workers is set to rise from $18 an hour to $23 an hour this Saturday, depending on the type of size of healthcare provided. California's current minimum wage for all workers, $16 an hour. Nearly all workers at healthcare facilities, including janitors, will have to be paid at least $25 an hour, including janitors, by 2028.
And if you just do the math on this, $18 an hour, that's $36,000 a year. And then if you bump it up to $25 an hour, that's $50,000 a year. So that's what, a 20% increase, boom, overnight. What do you say? There was a $45 billion deficit. And here's what this article basically, I love this term here. They says, as usual, the Democrats don't want to eat their own lousy cooking. So they cook this up and they're like, yeah, I'm good on that.
Yeah.
And the reality is when the government does these mandates and raises wages, what happens? They charge more and then they have to lay off people. So it's higher prices and more layoffs. And this is expected.
And you saw the comment right in there that Pat just read. Medicaid. Medicaid's the issue. You know, Margaret Thatcher said it best. Paying for things with other people's money only works as long as those people have money.
Yeah.
Once they run out of money.
That's right.
You're in deep doo-doo.
Welcome to California.
And this leads me to the next story. Nearly 80% of Americans now view fast food as a luxury. Folks, if you went to a high-end restaurant this weekend called Chipotle,
Le McDonald's,
you are
it's
rich.
French.
Yeah.
You are rich.
Oh, French accent on any
McDonald's.
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
So check this out. So nearly 80% of Americans now view fast food as a luxury due to rising menu prices, with 62% eating less often because it's increased costs. According to a Lending Tree survey, the perception of fast food as a luxury is particularly strong amongst those making less than $30,000 a year. 71% of people fall in that category. Parents with young children, that's 58%. Gen Z's 58%, and women 53%. Menu prices at major chains like McDonald's, Chipotle, Taco Bell have risen significantly since 2014, outpacing inflation. In response to slowing sales, McDonald's and Wendy's are introducing cheaper meal options, such as $5 value meal and a $3 breakfast deal. Tom.
Man.
The issue here is this came out in Walmart's really big quarter. And Walmart said, people are coming in here for meals ready to eat. What is meal ready to eat? Well, it's where you can buy basically a kit. You have a roasted chicken that they sell there all wrapped up for you, and it's all been pre-cooked like Costco and Walmart do. Vinny, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
You just walk in. So they said that they were getting people coming in to get that because the fast food was too expensive. And what you have here, if you force minimum wage and then you create 24% inflation over 3 years on all the raw materials, this is what happens. And now McDonald's and Wendy's have announced, McDonald's had a terrible quarter and said, brace yourself for my second quarter because that's where I'm going to get the impact of the California minimum wage increase. And guess what? They say we're coming back with these $5 meal deals. But when you take a look at the items that are going to be on there, it's not everything on the menu. They can't afford to do it. And this is a promotion trying to get people in the habit of coming back. But getting them in the habit of coming back doesn't give them the money to go to McDonald's every day for lunch.
Yeah, I had no idea that the McRib, the Chalupa Gordita, and the Chipotle Diarrhea Bowl was a now luxury at this point. But this is the reality in 2024 thanks to higher inflation, I assume some supply chain issues, and minimum wage, like we just talked about in the last segment. And I feel bad for families, and I feel bad for the average working man. That should be a place where, hey, man, I'm just going to Chipotle, I'm going to McDonald's, no big deal. But it's actually more expensive than ever, and they're considering it a luxury now. Unbelievable.
It's because of it's an affordability crisis. You can run to the microphone, Mr. President. You can talk about inflation and you can talk about job creation, which was complete bullshit because all it was people back to work that have been working at hospitality industry. You didn't create more jobs, and now you're creating part-time jobs and losing full-time jobs. All of it's coming down. It's an affordability crisis that causes people to look at it and say, you know what?
You've inspired me.
This is kind of a luxury.
You've inspired me.
All of a sudden, going to McDonald's, I'm sorry, kids, this is kind of a, I hate to use the word, but it's kind of a luxury. We can't afford to do this all the time now.
Here's what we're doing, Tom, because of what you just said right now. The Minnect contest to go to Casa D'Angelo has been changed to McDonald's.
Let's do it.
We're going to go McDonald's, and we're going to have Big Macs.
Yes.
Freaking on the house. Vinny, go for it.
And just an FYI, because I sent this video to Rob. Rob, you could probably play, but I don't think you have to. Just to show you guys that how the downfall of our economy is. There's so many restaurants closing. That's the bottom one, Rob. You don't have to play yet, but just multiple. Saw the video I made about Red Lobsters are closing. IHOPs are closing. Not all of them, but a large, substantial amount. Old Country Buffet, Fuddruckers, Applebee's, Denny's, Marie Calendar, Pizza Hut, Outback, Sbarro, Mod, Ruby Tuesdays, Joe's Crab Shack. There's multiple restaurants closing all over the country. The one next to our office, Red Lobster. I get emotional because of the biscuits. I don't want to get into it right now. But you're seeing this. All the restaurants are closing. And McDonald's now, a freaking quarter pounder with cheese is a luxury. And I told you this the other day. What I feel bad now for our homeless community. Think about it. They're getting $1 here. They're getting $1 there. They're going to suffer immensely. This shit's going up 100%, 150%. They're going to be struggling. They're going to be like, hey, listen, could you give me like $9?
Can you imagine they come out with a new sandwich called an eighth of a pounder with no cheese?
They just throw it in your mouth.
Not quarter pounder, an eighth of a pounder.
Well, with all
tater tot burger,
with all the mental health issues that Gen Z has experienced since COVID.
No, that's it. You don't have to show it. That's my video with the thing.
Okay, with all the mental health issues that Gen Z has experienced since COVID and all the anxiety that they're dealing with. McDonald's should consider changing the Happy Meal to the Depressed Meal because it's just sad
That'd be
what's
really
going
good.
on
That's
out there.
so funny, Adam. That's hilarious.
By the way, just a weird question I got for you guys. Somebody sent me this. I don't know. I don't even know if I want to play it, but I'm going to play it. I want you to see this here and tell me if there's anything weird about this. We're going to complete different.
Random?
We're going random La La Land right now, Rob. So Tom, what do you think about like? If somebody were to, you say you're married and you got a couple kids, okay, and you have this kid that comes over that babysits your kids. She's 15 years old, okay? She's babysitting your girls or your kids, your boys, whatever you got. And then years later, you end up dating this girl that at 15 years old used to babysit your kids.
What?
And you end up marrying the former babysitter. What do you think about this? So, Rob, can you just pull up the pictures?
Is that something that we know? Like famous?
I just want to. But before you even show it, what do you think about what I just said to you so far?
I think
it'd be pretty weird. So okay, let me see if I get this.
You're happily married.
I'm married to Kim. A 15-year-old babysits our girls.
Yes.
Kim unfortunately passes away young with cancer.
Yes.
I go back and I start dating the babysitter.
And you get married to the babysitter.
How old
and I
is
get
she
married
now?
to the babysitter.
24, 25.
I think that you were. Go ahead, Tom. I'll let you finish.
I think that I would have a tough time going to my house. I think I got a couple daughters who'd be like, Dad, what the hell are you doing?
If you would have done that, you would have been the 46th president of the United States. Go ahead and play this. Go ahead and play this, Rob. Show this. This is true. So
I believe it.
Zoom in. So that's Jill Biden.
Oh.
She used to babysit Bo and Hunter.
At 15. Whoa.
Did you guys know this or no?
I did not know that.
Oh. That's a little weird to me.
Oh.
And then later on, because, people came back and they said, well, the rumors are not true that they dated while she was a babysitter. They dated when she was in her mid-20s. Bro, that's not the point.
You were attracted to her. Guess what? At 15 years old,
she was by the way, no, man, that's a little weird.
So wait, are you mean to tell me the same president whose daughter wrote in her diary, PBD, that her father would take showers with her at inappropriate ages, the same guy that on camera when he was sworn in as vice president has been sniffing kids, grabbing them, touching them on camera, and some of those girls came out and said that they felt extremely uncomfortable. You mean to tell me that who's had sexual allegations from women throughout his entire life, you mean to tell me that same guy married his 15-year-old babysitter?
Can you
what?
Go on Snopes, Rob.
Tom, that's weird.
Did Jill Biden babysit Hunter and Bo?
Listen, I wouldn't put it past Creepy Joe to do any of this. Was Jill Biden?
You said what? Yes.
Fact check. False.
Read it. The story of this comes out. First, Jill Biden made relatively simple. They were set up on a blind date by President Marshall and so. I don't know, man. I don't know. These stories of them sitting there with.
I don't believe. I don't know.
I mean, it would be.
Get out of here.
It would be weird, like if the family knew about it and maybe.
I'm not alleging there was a relationship. The only thing I'm alleging is the fact that She was 15, babysitting her kids.
Yeah.
Babysitting his kids.
Well, what would be weird? I mean, this is weird, but what would be weirder is maybe, like, hypothetically, if his son Hunter privately referred to, and it was recorded and it was on his phone, referred to his dad as Pedo Pete or Pedo Peter.
Yeah.
And that is actually what Hunter referred to his dad as.
Yes. That's weird. But why, Tom, and
why would your son, who's being cut in on such a lucrative international energy consulting job, why would he, gosh, that just seems weird to me that Hunter would call his dad Pedo Pete.
Pedo Pete. And what, like, by the way, we had a nickname for my dad, like it was Drunk Vic, like it was drunk. But to call somebody a pedo Pete, that's actually really weird.
Well, let me check this just to verify this, Rob. So Jill is born in 51. Joe was born in 42. That's a 9-year age difference. That's not a big gap, right? 9 years, 10 years. It's not like it's a Macron level of greatness, right? We're not talking about that level of greatness. So then that picture taken in that place would be inaccurate, because if you go back to that, how old do you think Joe, Hunter and, okay, so what year was Hunter born? Hunter Biden. What year was he born? He was born in 1970.
He's 54.
Okay. So Jill Biden is born when? When is Jill Biden born?
51, you just...
Did I say 51? What year is it? So is it 51? Yeah, born 51. So that's an age gap of what, 19 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, then it's not possible.
And that's not possible mathematically.
Well, that's not what, meaning Hunter, that's not, she's not Hunter's mom.
I know she's not.
Okay.
I know she's not. But what I'm asking, I'm doing the math here to see if that was sent, the level of accuracy in that, to see here. Let me see. So Bo is born 1969 is when he's born. 1969, 51, 18. Go back to that picture, Rob. Can you go back to that picture? So zoom in a little bit. Jill the babysitter. That doesn't add up. Go a little lower. I mean, obviously, we know the story about how, when they met and all this stuff, how much younger she was.
Yeah. You could just tell in that photo.
She looks very young.
She looks really young.
She looks super young. But even AP News responded. Can you go to the AP News story, reacting to this? The part that is not untrue is the diary, the journal's coming out.
Oh, the journal's 100% factual, because she tried, what is this, Rob?
This is the diary claim. Snopes has updated it. Used to be mixed.
Yeah, no.
It was. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not. Now they are verifying.
Are you kidding me?
That the diary does in fact belong to Ashley.
No,
Snopes just adjusted it.
Yeah, correct. Snopes adjusted it because Ashley wrote the letter to the judge saying when the girl.
Oh, read that bottom, by the way. That's the key. So, okay, go to the top, Rob. Go all the way to the top. That shows what? Have contents of Ashley Biden's diary been verified? Go a little lower. So, a diary authored by President Joe Biden's daughter, Ashley, describes showers taken with her father when she was a child as not appropriate. Then, on the bottom, look what they say. Note, on April 29, 2024, this is a month ago, Snopes changed the rating of this fact check from unproven to true.
Weird.
Based on testimony provided by Ashley Biden in an April 8 letter to New York judge requesting jail time for one of the two people convicted of stealing her diary, Biden wrote, "I will forever have to deal with the fact that many personal journals can be viewed online." Previous version of this fact check noted strong evidence that the diary existed, but argued that no source had authenticated the content of the published online writing the authenticity of the photographs perpetrated to be from a diary. And they said, wow.
Now, and remember I reported this, PBD, and I said that she stated she was overly sexualized when she was young. She said, I don't even want to talk about this family of friends' house that she would go to. She was like probably molested. And then she wrote, I was showers with my dad, probably inappropriate. So for you to have the know-how at that age to say, I shouldn't have been showering with that, hypersexualized at a young age, along with mentions of not liking to visit certain families' houses, being sexualized with a female friend, and having sex with my friends at a young age, and showers with my dad, probably not appropriate. She's been trying to, mind you, her father, she wrote in the diary, Joe Biden called her crying because during the election, this was out. This was out. People were talking about it. They went after
Joe Biden. Called her crying because of what she was going to go through if this got out. Because the information. Because this was. How do you know Joe Biden was crying?
It's in the diary that she called him. She says that he was crying because this type of stuff was going to get leaked. It could get in China's hands. It could get in Russia's hand. But at the end of the day, I wish somebody could sit her down and say, Ashley, I'm sorry it had to happen. You left your diary, so somebody took it and tried to sell it to James O'Keefe's, what was it, Project Veritas. He didn't want it. They tried to sell it to the Trump campaign. Trump's campaign said, we don't want it. It's not verified. Don't even come at us with this. But come to find out that it's true, I think somebody should sit her down, Pat, and say, listen, we're sorry for everything that you've gone through. Your brother's obviously, your father's done a horrible job because you guys are both messed up people. You both are in therapy. Your brother records every single deviant action that he does. What happened with your father? Can you please elaborate? At what age were you having those showers with your father? When were you sexualized? Like, I know it's personal, but it's out there. The information is there. And if your father is called Pedo Pete, there has to be some type of fire there. There's smoke. So I think somebody needs to ask.
What do you think about this?
Oh, well, I'll just compartmentalize these two different stories here. I have zero issue with him, with Jill Biden. They've been married 45 years, guys. So let's just, you know how hard it is to stay married 7 years, the 7-year itch, much less 10 years, much less 20 years. You've been married how long?
You know about this how?
Tom, how long you been married? Tom, how long you been married?
22 years.
Okay, it's hard. So 45 years. Allegedly, he proposed 5 different times. 9-year age difference. I don't see any issue whatsoever with what's going on with Jill.
Do you see any issue with showering with his daughter?
Now, what I will say is whatever happened with Ashley Biden definitely seems creepy. I know he has the nickname Sleepy Joe. You might want to change it to Creepy Joe.
It is creepy.
But do you think she's going to talk? No. Do you think she's going to come out and say anything? No. Do you think the American people actually really genuinely care about this when there's inflation and cost of living? I don't see this being a massive story. I think the Hunter Biden thing was way more ridiculous. But yeah, if people can talk about this all they want, if this is something that motivates you, go for it. But specifically with Jill, I don't think it's an issue.
I think I disagree, Adam, a little bit because I think it is a big issue with all the sex trafficking and pedophilia and the Epsteins and all the shit that we have to be hearing all the time that gets swept under the rug. If the president, the sitting president of the United States, has been on camera grabbing young girls, sniffing them, making them uncomfortable, I don't care who you are, seeing that bothers me, and I'm not even a father. I'm not a parent. And those people just stood there and they're laughing. He's been getting away with it for years. They protect this type of freaking behavior. And for his daughter, this is proof, 100% proof. She said it. I didn't write it. I didn't say it. She's saying that, and the son is...
By the way, stay on that.
Yeah.
So what do you think? You think that is... You think that the fact that Snopes, like if I'm Trump, I'm using that.
For 1,000%.
So I'm going to say, so Snopes was protecting you. Then on April 29th of 2024, it flips from, what do you call it? Can't verify to now it is true that it happened. Do you think Trump could use that as a similar story he used with Clinton rape Hillary in the debate?
Would Trump use something like this? You betcha. Look, it seems creepy.
I think
none of us know what happened, but what I will say, the only way you'll get a smoking gun is if the daughter of the president, by the way, she's the daughter of Jill Biden. She's not the daughter like how Hunter and Beau were from a different mother that died, I guess, in a car accident years prior.
Yeah.
Is if she comes out and says something, she's the only witness. So, no witness, no crime. So she'd have to come out and say, yes, this happened. What's the likelihood of her ratting on her dad? Less than zero? So
it's not about this is worse than ratting. This is you send an email asking to give my journal back, verifying everything that's in the journal that is now public. Rob, can you see some of the strange things in Ashley Biden's journal? Just kind of pull that up. I've never even looked into this, just so you know that. This is the first time I am asking someone to Google
Vinny
this
reads
or
it every night.
search this. No, what I'm saying is I haven't, but I think people need to. If this is now officially true, what's in the journal? Well, Newsweek is definitely not going to talk about it. The other day, Newsweek said that Tucker signed with Russian TV, so they're not going to. Reuters is not going to tell you. who actually wrote what's in the journal. So maybe the way you got to do it is you got to go Ashley Biden in the journal and then go to images and see notes. Oh, there it is. I found this one here. Okay, so this is the one that is out. Was I molested?
Yep.
I think so. I can't remember specifics, but I do remember trauma. I remember not liking the Wolzak's house. I remember somewhat being sexualized with Caroline. I remember having sex with friends at a young age. Showers with my dad, probably not appropriate. I mean, that's in the journal. These are weird things to be said. So what
I think it'd be important to distinguish what she just said is that the sexualization occurred at, what was the name? The
Wolzak house. Yeah,
so who are those people?
Yeah, no, exactly. The neighbors. The neighbors. But,
exactly.
and people,
I just think let's just be careful for accusing Joe Biden of molesting his daughter.
No, we're not.
Is it creepy to take showers? Sure.
No.
I'll tell you this from a personal experience. Fact check this, Rob. She went to Tulane University in the late 90s, early 2000s. A lot of my friends went to Tulane University. I went to Florida State University. I would make a trip once a month, Tulane, Florida State. It's about a 3-4 hour drive across the Panhandle.
New Orleans, right?
Yeah, New Orleans. When I tell you that Ashley Biden was out there partying, having fun, and allegedly one of my friends, if not several of my friends, might have had fun with Ashley Biden. But yeah, that's college. But drugs, partying, Tulane, Mardi Gras. It's the 90s,
but here's
bro.
the thing. I don't know
nothing on social media. What I will say now is that she's married, she's kids, she's got kids, she's a family woman.
Thank God she's doing better. But here's the thing: nobody's accusing him of anything, Adam. Nobody's even. I'm just saying. I'm telling you what the daughter is saying. Tom said what the son has said in text and in dialogue. And what we're saying is we keep seeing videos of Joe Biden being disgusting. So I can assume, I can say it looks pretty freaking creepy. I guess what?
I got to tell you.
Was there something weird?
We've
Adam,
seen Joe Biden like sniffing people's hair. I mean, he has to explain that. But
he'll never. It's cute. They laugh. They laugh because nobody says anything.
What have we actually seen, though?
I don't want to see anything. Ask his daughter. That's what I'm saying. Ask his daughter.
I don't know.
Because there's a video of her calling. No. Adam, I'm telling you.
Look, I get that there's a lot of people out there that want to believe you and want to believe you're right.
No, Adam, right
there's
about
nothing here.
Hold on, no, Adam, and here's the problem, bro. I'm at least standing on a mount. I'm saying this is what I'm seeing, and how much more do you need to hear or see that the daughter is saying my father showered me at inappropriate age? What? It's coming from the daughter. I'm not grasping for this. She's obviously was over-sexualized. This is Jill's daughter. Hunter Biden is a freaking crackhead that does drugs, records everything, sleeps with all these girls. He sleeps with his dead brother's wife. This whole family is effed up. All the kids are effed up. Period. All of them. So you have to ask, what was the father doing? Maybe it's the father. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. All right? I drank, Adam. I was an alcoholic. You know why? Because my father was an alcoholic. His father was an alcoholic. My grandfather's an alcoholic. From what Joe's showing me, he likes smelling kids. He likes touching people, grabbing them and pulling them towards him. And look what happens. His son's a crackhead and his daughter's messed up, banging 90 guys at colleges. So maybe it's the father, Adam. Maybe it is the father.
Vinny, you figured it out.
I'm just saying. It's something.
But I don't know where you're going.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm just talking to Vinny. Who's making allegations galore.
I'm not making allegations.
You're not?
You're putting words in my mouth. When did I say he molested her?
The only thing you said that is allegations is 90 guys, because he didn't say 90.
Okay.
You just can't give a number.
Yeah, whatever.
But everything else, and that's Adam's story. Okay, that's not even a story that I'm going to give credibility to. That's his friend saying that they hooked up with Ashley Biden. Okay, great.
Whatever.
She's 41. That's, she's around your age anyway. So
a girl at college had boyfriends. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not, guys, I'm not worried about that. What I'm saying to you is the following. Okay, if you look at Tom's kids, okay, one has a 4.6 GPA. The other has a 5.06 GPA. They allowed her to take AP classes in 6th grade, okay? Like you have regular A's, then you have honor A's, which you get a 5, then you get AP A's, which is a 6 apparently, right? That's what it is.
Nowadays, yeah.
Okay, so do you think Tom's girls have that kind of a GPA? You think Tom and Kim played any role in that? What do you think, Adam? You think there was a role Tom and Kim played in the results their daughters are getting?
Of course.
Of course. Okay. So if you think a good quality or bad quality, something that somebody has, you think maybe some of that was caught by someone? They say there's more caught than taught in parenting.
Wow.
There's more caught than taught in parenting. Don't tell me how to live my life. I'm going to duplicate what you're doing. There's more caught than taught in parenting. It's kind of weird when your son dies and your other son hooks up with his wife and then your daughter's writing stuff like this. When's the last time you heard about someone's journal being out with talking about my dad? It's a little weird. That's the part where you got to give credibility to weirdness. And now what he does with that, it is what it is.
Exactly.
You know, it is what it is. All right, let's go to the last story here before we wrap up. And this has to do with Israel airstrike in Rafah kills dozens of Netanyahu's acknowledged tragic mistake. CNBC News. Let me go through this here. And Vinny, I'm coming to you first. And then Adam, I'm going to come to you because I think you said you had something as well with this story. At least 45 people killed in airstrikes in the southern Gaza city of Rafah. Local health officials said Monday, drawing swift commendation against Israel. Gaza officials said the strike killed at least 45 Palestinians, including displaced people living in tents that were engulfed by fire. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there has been a tragic mistake and that Israel was investigating. The airstrike came hours after Hamas claimed it fired a barrage of rockets from Gaza toward central Israel as rocket sirens rang for the first time in months in cities like Tel Aviv. Gaza's Ministry of Health said in an earlier testament that never before in history has such a large number of mass killing tools been amassed and employed together in front of the world as it is happening now in Gaza, noting severe shortages of water, food, medicine, electricity, and fuel. Vinny.
All right, so thanks, Pat. So Benjamin Netanyahu said that this was a tragic mistake, okay? What does that mean, okay? Some of the reports say that he was trying to target 2 Hamas terrorists. And my question is, did they even get them? Did they kill these guys? If it's a tragic mistake, to me, it sounds like they didn't, all right? And we're supposed to believe Bibi Netanyahu, the same guy who was supposed to be on trial for bribery, fraud, breach of trust on October 7th, a day that we still have zero answers of what actually happened. Zero. You ask John Kirby, now's not the time. We're at 7 months. Nobody wants to even, not even a hint of what happened. All right, this is the same guy that the ICC recently applied for arrest warrants. And the reason for these warrants, causing extermination, causing starvation as a method of war, including the denial of humanitarian relief supplies, and deliberately targeting civilians in conflict. So here's my question. When is Israel's war tactic, military going to change, PBD? Is getting 2 Hamas terrorists worth killing 50 civilians or 100? What about 1,000? Do you guys think if there was 1,000 people there and they wanted to get these terrorists, would they have bombed them, bombed that camp, okay? And I saw the videos. Guys, it ruined my night watching the aftermath of these children's faces blown off. It ruined my night, okay? So what is the Hamas terrorist civilian ratio that we're going to go with? And because that kind of tactic, you could do whatever you want. You could kill as many people as you want and just say, hey, we made a mistake. We thought Hamas was there. We're going to move on. All right. Second question. Since October 7th, how many innocent Israelis have been killed from Hamas shooting these rockets? Do any of you guys know? How many? I'm just asking. Anybody know? Because we keep hearing, like you said, he said rockets were shot from Gaza. They weren't shot from Rafah. They were shot just from Gaza. The Iron Dome knocks out how many percentage, Adam? Do you guys know? 90-some%, which barely anybody dying. Okay, so yesterday, I'm gonna bring it back to me. I posted a tweet yesterday, PBD, talking about this situation, and automatically, because I go, hey, could somebody tell me how this is, helping the situation, or how is this defending Israel? Okay, and somebody automatically he's anti-Semitic. Okay, and here's the thing: you can't criticize Israel at all without getting the anti-Semitic thing. And soon, as we all know, Congress is trying to pass a bill that would broaden the legal definition of anti-Semitism to include, ready for this, the targeting of the state of Israel conceived as a Jewish collectivity. That's kind of convenient. Okay, that being said, I want to remind every American out there, okay, besides all these college idiots that are paid by Soros and they're pro-Hamas, to hell with all those idiots, you all have the right to criticize any government and any leader, okay? That has nothing to do with the Jewish people, because I know even right now people in the chat are like, he's anti-Semitic, okay? That doesn't make you anti-Semitic. Don't be scared, okay? I was in the United States Air Force, and I criticized George Bush Jr. pre-9/11, post 9/11, and then after for what they did with the illegal war in Iraq that killed a million people because we said they had weapons of mass destruction, okay? Does that make me anti-American, Tom? Does that make me anti-American? No. It makes me an American patriot with the balls to point out any atrocity done by any side. And when my tax dollars are paying for those bombs that are killing people, I could talk. And that's why, PBD, I saw the post that we posted yesterday from Valuetainment. That's why yesterday was such an important day, Memorial Day, okay? It's a day that we honored the brave men and women who laid down their lives, the ultimate sacrifice that gave us the liberty to live freely and speak freely. And I'll be damned if anybody's going to label me anti-this or anti-that when I want to criticize governments and people that run the governments. And that's all I have to say.
Adam.
Respectfully, what's your solution? What's your point?
Let's kill everybody, Adam. I think they should just stop wasting time and bomb everybody. Because they're just looking for these Hamas. It's impossible.
Why would they want to kill everybody?
Well, then what are we waiting for? Like, what are you waiting for?
What do you suggest?
Adam, because they didn't, by the way, the guy has warrants. He's going to have warrants soon for his arrest. The people don't trust him. Adam.
What's your solution?
How about this? Hold on. Can I say one thing? I don't know, Adam, but guess what? The plan that's happening right now, it ain't working, bro. Because we keep seeing this shit happening and nobody's saying anything. Whoops. My mistake. 50 people dead.
What do you mean nobody's saying anything? There's protests galore
in Israel, but is that stopping? Is the gas slowing down?
So what's your solution?
I don't, Adam. You tell me. I'm not in charge.
Went on a rant.
I'm not in charge.
I'll give you my feedback.
I said this from the beginning. How about a tactical thing to go get these guys? How about if you want to go find 2 Hamas terrorists, you're gonna drop a freaking God knows how many pound bomb and blow, and then just say, "I'm sorry, we made a mistake." Come on, bro. I'm not cool with that. The tactic has to change. You have special forces. You have these IDF. And mind you, and you nailed it, Adam, those people that are protesting in the street, they are IDF soldiers that are disgusted with Benjamin Netanyahu. It ain't me protesting. It's his own people. What do you think?
Historically speaking, Adam's been trying to start here. The only thing I'll say is it seems to me that historically speaking, Israeli special forces and Mossad have, when they wanted to go surgically take care of somebody, they've done a pretty good job doing it. And so, and if they know where these certain leaders are, you would hope that they would be taking those kind of precautions. October 7th was an atrocity. It is a horrible mark that's now in the history of mankind. Israel had a right to defend herself, but from that point forward, we're sliding into a quagmire, just like Vietnam, just like Korea, and the citizens are paying a price when we should be able to figure this out. And with the technology and the modern intelligence that they have, why can't they go surgically talk and get the people they want, bring the hostages home? Why does this have to be this quagmire that just reminds me of Vietnam and Korea? This is these forever wars, and it sickens me. I hate to see this, and I hate to see, we made a mistake and this was a refugee camp, or this was an aid organization. It's like these are people trying to get out of the way, and now they died.
Yeah,
I think we've got the tools, the intelligence to bring this thing to an end, draw the lines that need to be drawn, and move forward. That's where I'm at.
Here's a few things I've learned since October 7th. Never rush to judgment, especially when the Hamas union is the one that's bringing out all the news, the Hamas brigade. So we learned in that there was a bombing of a hospital. Oh my God, Israel bombed a hospital. Turns out it was the Muslim Brotherhood or one of the Islamic Jihad counterparts. It actually was a rocket that hit the hospital. Okay, all right, whoops, blamed it on Israel. We learned that the UN said there's 30,000 innocent women and children. The UN just came out and secretly reduced their number almost by half. Turns out we were wrong. Okay, nobody talked about that. This story, I saw this over the weekend. I was like, holy shit, this is This isn't good. This is
the UN reporting.
Yes.
If you trust the UN, that's fine. I don't trust the UN. But go ahead. You could go ahead.
So who do you trust?
I don't trust the UN. I don't trust none of them. But go ahead, Adam. Make your point.
You trusted this story that came.
What do you mean? Benjamin Netanyahu said it. Benjamin Netanyahu said we made a mistake, Adam. Again, you're saying that I'm saying it. Your boy said it.
Vinny, listen.
Okay. Your boy said it. Don't put words in my mouth.
So, Rob, pull this out there. There was actually a video of the day I sent to you on Slack of someone in Palestine reacting to it. And the word, this is sort of one, the biggest problem, what the World Economic Forum said, it's misinformation and disinformation. Part of that is also misunderstanding words. So there was an authentic video from Gaza Strip in which a Palestinian civilians from Rafah are heard talking about the attack and saying the army bombed a Hamas Jeep full of weapons and ammunition. There's stories out there basically saying that they bombed a humanitarian area. No, they bombed a Jeep that was full of weapons and ammunition. And the word that they used, this is Bibi Netanyahu, this is technical. This is what happens when you try to interpret misinterpretation. He didn't use the word mistake. He said mishap. So if you speak Hebrew, you understand. So nobody talks about the fact that Hamas was firing missiles into Tel Aviv. Let me ask you a question. If Mexico was firing missiles into Dallas, if Cuba was firing missiles into Miami, if Montreal was firing missiles into New York, what do you think the United States would do? We'd go after them with hell and with fury. Even Trump used the words to Kim Jong-un, with fire and fury, we'll come after you. The guy on the ground, this is someone in Palestine, may God deliver us from this trouble of Hamas. So what we're understanding is this. We rush to judgment and just think that Israel is indiscriminately killing people. You sort of made a joke. Why don't they kill them all? Why don't they? Because they don't. They don't want to kill all these people. Why doesn't Egypt take them in? They're in Rafah. Take them in.
It's not their responsibility, Adam. When people say that, it drives me nuts.
Whose responsibility?
It's not Egypt.
You went on a nice 10-minute rant.
It's not Egypt, though. But it's not Egypt.
Whose responsibility?
No.
Here's my point. Nuts. You guessed wrong. You thought that they intentionally did this.
Wait. Because you showed me a text from a guy that wrote something on the internet?
So here's where I'm likely to believe. A guy that lives in Palestine that was there for this rather than Vinny. So that's where I'm at with it.
Okay. Adam.
So it was a mishap where they actually, nobody talks about, they were going after the people that shot missiles into Tel Aviv. Someone was hurt and killed, not hurt and killed, injured in Herzliya. Why do I know about Herzliya? Because that's where I stay when I go to Israel. So it's a nice area. They're trying to get, so imagine if you're Israel, you have Hamas to your west, you have Lebanon, Hezbollah to your north, you got Syria, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, you have Iran attacking you. Israel's the only country in the world with their neighbors literally genocidal Islamic jihadist maniacs, and when they try to fight back, they're like, Israel, you're fighting too hard. No country in the world is villainized for trying to win a war. By the way, speaking of winning wars, here's just a quick fact check of what wars are going around the world. Ukraine, remember that? Remember that whole thing that everyone cared about? No news. Ukraine, Sudan, Yemen, Haiti. You see what's going on there? The guy's literally eating human bodies. China, the Uyghurs. Remember all those people that were getting killed? Forget about those guys. Ethiopia, Myanmar, Congo, Syria, Libya, Mexico, and the cartels killing people. In West Africa, there's jihadist groups in West Africa, in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. There's no talk about anything else. No Jews, no news. All these wars are going on, but our friends want to rant and rave about us trying to eliminate Hamas. What's my point? Nobody gives a shit. Why do I say that? Nobody in America actually gives a shit. We've seen the media try to prop up these student protests. Turns out it was just happening on massive woke elite universities. No one else gives a shit. But when you actually poll the American people and you say, hey, what do you actually care about? What are the issues that actually affect you? Do you know where Hamas and Gaza is on the list? It's not. People care about the economy, defending against terrorism, Hamas, reducing influence, money, and politics, reducing healthcare costs, improving education, making Social Security financially sound, reducing crime, dealing with immigration, reducing availability of illegal drugs, the budget, the deficit, improving the job situation. These are things that Americans care about. Everybody wants to talk about Gaza. No one cares. Israel's going to win their war against these terrorists, and the world is going to bitch and moan when mishaps happen, and you're going to jump to conclusion, nobody cares.
I disagree 1,000% that nobody cares, Adam. Those 50 families that are freaking burning under the ground, they care. Okay? The Palestinians here that aren't pro-Hamas or whatever, that love their families and stuff, Adam, they care.
No, when I say nobody cares,
I care.
If you poll the American people,
I don't care about
what's going on in Gaza.
Okay,
is not even in the top 10, but barely in the top 20
Adam,
issues.
and that's fine.
And it's not even in the top 15 for Gen Z.
But you know, Adam.
So I know that you want to blame what's going on here, but let the facts come out, Vinny.
Adam,
you know nothing. You literally know nothing.
So guess what?
And you're jumping to conclusions. Let the facts come out.
I know nothing.
Let the facts come out.
I know nothing. The freaking prime minister of Israel said, whoops, we made a mistake.
No, it's in Israeli, in Hebrew, it's called a mishap.
Mishap, a.k.a. mistake, Adam. Mistake. Yes, it was.
They bombed an ammo post with weapons that were shooting missiles into Tel Aviv. Vinny, if you were the prime minister, listen.
Hold on, wait, before you go there. So you know for a fact the missiles were coming from Rafah? Is that what you're telling me? No, he said Gaza. What? Were they coming from Rafah?
That's literally where they said
No, they didn't. They said from Gaza. They weren't leaving from the encampment where they're innocent people. Okay. And here's the point, Adam. You want to talk about making points? You're missing my point. My point is, I am an American. My tax dollars, we just sent, well, how much was it, PBD? $28 billion to Israel. I have the right to talk as much shit as I want about him and the government's actions.
Vinny, you have every right to talk as much as you want. You also have the right to be loud and wrong.
No, guess what?
And you're doing a great job of it,
Tell me one thing I'm wrong. Tell me one thing I'm wrong about. I'll wait. Go.
Everything you just said.
Adam, you're absolutely wrong.
You haven't said one thing that's right.
Let's do this, guys. Let's do this. So let's take a step back. So, Vinny, what I want you to think about is the following. I want you to think solution, okay? Because like, you know how when we're talking with Tico or Dylan, and then they say stuff politically, and what I'll do.
You tell them, explain yourself.
I said, don't do that. I said, give me reasons. Well, that person's the worst ever. Don't say that. Give me what you would do differently, right?
Yeah.
So right now, you know, what's very tempting to do is to take sides. It's very tempting to take sides. Because no matter what side you take, that group's going to be like, you're the only person, you're a truth seeker, keep doing it, blah, 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 blah. And they're going to rile you up, right? And those, you know, Jews or those Muslims or those, you know, both sides are going to feed that machine, right? It's not easy to stay as stable as possible while everybody else kind of like doing a rally cry like you're the spokesperson for that community. It's tempting to not fall for it. Power versus force. Can you pull up the power versus force chart, Rob? We all fall for this trap. Go to power versus force chart and go to images and zoom in. And this is my goal with myself and my kids and America. Zoom in as much as you can and go to the one right in the middle, level. You see where it says level? Levels of consciousness. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Look where anger is at. Zoom out a little bit, Rob. Zoom out a little. Okay. There you go. Anger is below level of courage. Anger is even below pride, fear, desire, all of that. Okay, no problem. And then the lowest level is shame. Shame, you don't get anything done. Guilt, apathy, grief. We know people that are on those levels. Then you're afraid, you have desire, alcohol, drinking. You've grown past that. Anger, pride, great. Now it's courage. Courage to be right, the courage to be wrong. Earlier, I showed a picture of babysitting with, what do you call it? With the two kids and then while I wrote out the numbers, I'm like, no, I'm wrong. That's not even possible. And one guy sent it to me. I'm like, let me do my own fact check. You have the courage to be wrong at times, right? Then it's neutrality, and you're able to kind of balance out both sides to hear the arguments. Then you're willing to hear opposing arguments, which America, we don't have that right now, okay? We are not there right now. We don't have any of those three right now as America. Then it's acceptance. Then it's reason, love, joy, peace, enlightenment. I like to stay at reason, love, as much as I can to go up to those two levels to be able to reason and to love people. I love Muslims. I love Christians. I love Jews. I found myself. I'm at the soccer thing the other day, and this one lady, I'm talking to her daughter, and she's the same age as Tico. I said, so what's your favorite subject in school? She says, I love math. I said, awesome. And I said, do you like people? Her mom's like, she gets along with everybody. I said, you give me somebody that loves math and loves people, you can have a great career in financial services. Go become a stockbroker, whatever it is, do something with that business, right? So people, I like people. I like talking to people, whether they agree with me or not. In this situation here right now, with what we got going on, the money that we spend, whatever the number was, 24 billion, of which I think like 12, 13, 14 billion went to Israel, the other went to Gaza, the food supply, that which many of the times the money never makes it to the people. And who holds it up? Is it Israel holding it up? Is it Hamas holding it up? Is it who's holding up the money and the resources from getting to them? Who knows? We're learning about all that stuff. Mishap, mistake. That's plain wordsmith. And Netanyahu, as a former journalist, having come up from that place, he knows the power of words. So, it's kind of lazy to say mishap, mistake. Hey, it's a mishap, it's a mistake. Just say, hey, here's what happened. Great. Again, translation can be lost. Fair, no problem. I'm not going to sit there and try to become a translator. I get it. Money sent to them, money sent to Ukraine. Isolationist position of we shouldn't send any money to anybody. Okay, that's a great position to take, where you can say my position is X, Y, Z, here's why. No problem. But at the same time, do we want to get an ally in the Middle East? Who is the only ally that we have in the Middle East? If we don't have a single ally in the Middle East, then what happens? They have some resources. We have to have an ally. Let's try to be good with MBS. The guy's pretty powerful. He looks like he's pretty reasonable. We can do some stuff with him. He even killed a journalist, right? We know what exactly. So then we go Israel. Do they want to have allies with us? Iran doesn't want to be allies with us. There's so many different ways. These people don't like you. They just don't like what we stand for. Literally, Vinny, they don't like what we stand for. So now you may say, well, you don't know what they've done to them. I've lived there, and I understand the hatred that they have towards America. And then, with the, Jewish community and, but look at the amount of type of stuff that they control. Yeah, I'm also understanding that they did that. But to me, it's they own music industry. Look what they're doing. Okay, you know what my solution is? Then why don't you freaking compete? I'm talking to Vivek over the weekend. You know what Vivek did to compete? He bought 7.7% of BuzzFeed.
Yeah.
Did you see the letter he wrote to the board today?
No.
This morning? You should see the letter Vivek wrote to the board today. Flat out calling them out, okay, to the board today. Anyways, what's the point? The point is this it? Let me check up. My letter is below. Yeah, this is the letter he wrote to the board today. Look at the way he starts it. BuzzFeed has lost its way. The company was a pioneer of the social internet when referral traffic from Facebook seemed like it would never end. Legacy media companies and publishers believed that BuzzFeed had the secret sauce so much that they invested at sky-high valuations, copied the strategies, or both. Not the social internet media model is dying or dead, and BuzzFeed is caught without a viable strategy. I'm not alone in believing that BuzzFeed went public in December of 2021 at a valuation of $1.5 billion when I started acquiring shares in your company as of January 30th this year. Your share prices has plummeted 94%, Vinny. 94%. So what is he doing? He bought, I am now your second largest Class A shareholder with an 8.37% stake in your company, and I continue to increase my position. Anyways, you go all the way to the bottom. Go all the way to the bottom. The worst is yet to come. He's talking about everything that's going on. Go all the way to the bottom. Keep going.
Wow, he's a writer.
No, he's this is a legit breaking down.
Jeez.
You know what he says at the end? Okay, there you go, right there. I urge your board to add the 3 proposed new directors by July 15th. I look forward to arranging meetings in upcoming weeks. He's going to suggest certain people to be on the board with BuzzFeed, et cetera, et cetera. What's the point? He's doing something about it. So what I like us to do with PBD Podcast or Valuetainment, anytime I do like the EV stuff that I did this video with China, I'm looking at, that's problematic for me. Why? When Tom is like, he's like, well, no, here's the thing with China, but they got the freaking resources. How the hell are we going to compete with this long term? That's a sincere we're going to put 100%, what do you call it? Tariff. China's going to say, screw you. 80% of your antibiotics I produce. Mm-hmm. You want me to put freaking tariffs on your antibiotics? Let's play this game and see how many of your people need the antibiotics. So that's the part where it's like, how do you play this? You got to dance, right? Because you need that relationship, but at the same time, you can't allow them to bully you. And then they come and they sell BYD in U.S., and all of a sudden, our car companies drop stocks in 50%. We're hurting our workers in America. I'm not okay. So how do you battle this out? So this is not an easy job to do while I'm listening to both sides. I am with you on the rage and the anger, and this is why people love you as the angry patriot. By the way, millions of people understand your anger. Millions. This is why I love this. You know, when we have this home team where we're having this conversation, I'm trying to add a handful of other people to the group so we can have a rotation with different people. Unusual Suspects now doing its stuff, and it's growing. I know you guys did an Unusual Suspect last week together with, what do you call it? With
Amazing.
Brian Callen. Great conversation. Tico, my oldest son, was in the back listening to you guys the entire time. So these are good conversations to be had. But the part that we can't fall for the trap is to allow it to distract us with being America first. To me, this is number one. America is number one priority for me. If America stays strong, the rest of the world can act like clowns destroying other people. If a stronger president was in the White House, there is no October 7th. If a stronger person was in the White House, there is no Ukraine-Russia bullying. If there's anything that's happened, Vinny, the last 3 years, Democrats, independents, people who have never voted for a Republican president in the last 3 years are considering doing that because that is the closest thing to someone that can give them the freedom, free market, free assembly, freedom of speech, all of those freedoms that America was founded on. It's getting common sense to become popular again. That's the part. What we can't allow it to do is to get us to be divided and forgetting. What is the number one priority? America. One time I called him Israeli. I don't know if you remember that on the podcast. I called him Israeli 3 months ago. You know how quickly he corrected me? What did he say? He said, no, I'm not Israeli. I'm American.
Of course.
And I was trying to say Jewish, but my English being my fifth language. He says, no. I'm American. And he kept saying it, right?
I know. Yep.
So his pride is where?
Here.
America first.
For sure.
What's yours?
America.
What's Tom's?
America.
What's mine?
America.
What's Rob's?
America.
We love America because we live here. By the way, if you live in Israel, what should you be?
Is Israel first?
If you live in Gaza, what should you be?
Palestine first?
Of course. If you're in Egypt, if you're in Germany, you better have that freaking pride.
For sure.
I tell this guy, I'm Christian. I tell him, why aren't you going to, synagogue more? Why don't you go? Why are you not going and representing your faith? Go to it, right? I, of course, understand your pride of where your bloodline comes from. But the one thing we can't do is to allow that division to come here with us. Because that's the part where somebody watches this podcast and they live like, let me tell you. And now we're getting more and more and more and more like this. Where what we've been able to do with PBD Podcast is to get more people to go like this. Yeah, I get a lot of heat from people on the left. They got these funny emojis, not emojis, what do you call it? Funny memes they make with the stuff on my hat. I mean, some of the stuff is funny as hell.
It's hilarious.
And it's both sides, right, that they make. But at the same time, we have to do our best individually and collectively to be in the community of having the courage to debate, which we have, being willing to hear a different side's argument, which we're willing to do, accepting the fact that at times we could be wrong, which we are.
I'm wrong a lot.
Allowing to be able to stay neutral so we can kind of see and then reason and understanding that you got to lead with love. If we can love people, if we can love even people that we disagree with, it brings a temperature and we have a shot at making this thing the greatest again without all the other mess that's taking place. That is my only suggestion. Anytime that even myself, when I go there, I try to bring my own temperature down because whether it's personal life, marriage, relationship, friendship, business, enemies, any of that stuff, that allows me to make better decisions. So while we're proposing whatever we're proposing, this is my request to everybody moving forward.
And I love it. And obviously, we know the love here doesn't go anywhere.
Are you kidding me? Of course I know
of course.
that. Yeah.
But, and the point, we were saying the point, is I just wanted to reiterate that you can criticize people and governments and not be the label of anti-Semitic. To say that I hate Jewish people is the most ignorant, stupid thing to say. Adam is my number one. Adam's my freaking brother. So I want people to understand. Just
but
like
that's not the point. The point I want to make is the following. Here's the point I want to make. I want to make the point of the following. Okay, so let's just say we're doing a boardroom meeting and we're running XYZ company.
Yeah,
and Rob is our CMO.
God help us, but go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm seriously, Rob is our CMO. And Rob walks into the board. You're the chairman of the board.
I'm above him.
You're number one. Hear me out. You're the chairman of the board.
Yes.
Adam's the president. Tom's the COO. I'm your chief picket, information officer. Okay. I'm your CFO. I'm your numbers guy. No problem.
You're the top guy in this scenario.
Gotcha.
Rob comes in.
God help this.
Rob says, let me tell you what's going on. XYZ company, we're doing this, but ABC company is spending this much money on their budget, and they're spending money doing ads on Facebook and Google, and they're spending $1.2 million per month, and they're doing $2.2 million on Facebook, and they're doing $600,000 on TikTok. In the last 6 months, their budget for TikTok has gone from $100,000 a month to $600,000 a month, and da-da-da-da-da. And that's a lot of problems that's going on with XYZ, our company, and we have to find a way to get better. What are you going to say to him?
Take a chill pill.
And then what are you going to tell him? What are you going to want as a chairman of the board? What do you want to hear from him?
I want a solution.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everything was a rant. Now it's going to be like, yeah, but no, I don't have any. I'm just kind of giving you this. If we, all of us, him, me, you, Tom, all of us, there's plenty of podcasts that people listen just to listen. But if we come in and we say, I don't like that this is going on, da-da-da-da-da. Now watch what happens. Look at your level of preparation from the first podcast to today. It's crazy.
Night and day.
Star, right? What's happening? But now imagine if all of us are now going through it and that next additional. So you write out the notes, and everything you write out at the bottom, guess what you finish it up with? Vinny, what's your solution? Adam, what's your solution? Rob, what's your solution? Tom, what's your solution? PBD, what's your solution? If I don't give a solution, I'm being lazy. So if I do a how-to podcast, I'll say, okay, so what's the solution with this? What's your point with EVs? What's your point with diamonds are such and such, and they're, what's your point? Everything has to end with that. The more we end with that, we're getting everybody to elevate themselves from just being angry, patriots, to, okay, use that emotion and the anger that you have and provide me some solutions. Look what Vivek is doing. Mm-hmm. Vivek is angry. Trust me, he's angry.
I can tell.
Vivek is an angry patriot.
Yeah.
But Vivek is proposing ideas, okay? You may later on be running for something. Who knows what's going to happen? You never know what's going to be taking place. I think Unusual is going to be one of the biggest podcasts. We drive it the way it's going. Conversation being entertaining. But at the same time, I think if we go and shift that mindset into thinking solution-oriented every single time, we'll come up with both. And that's you as well, by the way. That's you as well. That's all of us to come back and say, like for me, when I'm listening to this, what am I going through this? Okay, well, look what they did. They blew up this place 45-50. Okay, don't use lazy words. People died. Mistake. I don't know what he said exactly with the verbiage. But, okay, so that part is accountability with them. Number two, what do we do here? Temperatures. Do we increase it? Do we lower it? Do we make a statement? Look, we're not giving any more money. Those are some of the ways that we're not giving any money until you guys are able to figure XYZ out. Okay, what if U.S. does the following? Seriously. What if the next round you want money? What if the U.S. president comes in and says this? We're not giving any more. So Congress comes out and says, $600 billion bill. We want to send another $30 billion to Ukraine and another $20 billion to Israel and and Gaza or Palestine, right? And what if the president says, yeah, I'm not doing it? Why? The only way I'll do it is if Netanyahu and his crew and Palestine and their crew and Hamas are willing to all get into a room together, and I'm going to fly down, we're going to have that meeting. It's the only way we're doing it. Closed-door conversation we need to have together. What if a president did that?
Pretty awesome.
You want the money, we'll send it to you.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to send you any money if you're not showing me any way of making peace, because whatever I'm sending you right now, you're going to need it 30 days later, 60 days later. I'm not doing it. I'm going to have a meeting with you guys. What do you think about that, Tom? With the idea of always thinking about a way to having a solution instead of, keep sending money to everybody.
I completely agree with that. I finished my points with, we have the technology, we have the intelligence, we can bring it to the table, and we can bring the suffering on the citizens to a close. We hope. There has to be a solution at the end of it. Otherwise, you're just in boogeyman politics. One side yelling at the other side, one side yelling at the other side yelling back. And you're just in this tornado of boogeyman politics. You have to come forward with a solution. You look at the end of Vivek's note that we were just looking at to BuzzFeed. And it says, BuzzFeed has an opportunity to do things differently. The shareholder asks if you're willing to seize it, and he's presented some recommendations. That's where it has to go. Carter is not my favorite president, but the Camp David peace accords came when the United States stood up and said, Israel and Egypt, there has to be a solution here. There has to be some sort of a negotiated agreement that turns down the heat of the situation and gets us to a point. And it successfully did. Unfortunately, Anwar Sadat paid with his life as factions within his own government hated the fact that he didn't. But people that come forward with solutions, those are the brave. Those are the ones that are not just making noise, they are taking and they are offering ways out.
PBD, number one, thank you for being a synergist and very reasonable and being a unifier here, because at the end of the day, that is what is needed to be decided next, is what is the solution here. And that's why I asked Vinny, like, what's your solution? What do you want to do here? What do you want to do here? When you have all these people literally trying to attack you and you're trying to defend yourself, this is the sadness of war. It's disgusting. It's horrible. People die. Innocent people die. If Israel literally wanted to commit genocide, they could literally kill 1 million people in a day with a nuclear attack, but they don't, because I genuinely believe they're not trying to commit genocide, despite what the propaganda tells you. But it's all about being reasonable versus being an extremist. So I was at Fountain Blue this weekend. Guy came, yo, what up, Adam? His name was Z. What up, bro? Dude, PBD podcast, you're the man, bro. Can I buy you a drink? I'm not drinking right there. I'm like, he's like, I'll get you a water. He gave me and all my friends water. Oh, you the man, bro. He goes, hey, by the way, love what you do. By the way, Palestine will be free. I was like, all right, cool, bro. All right. Reasonable guy.
Yeah.
Right? People don't know this. I was actually dating a Syrian girl like 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. Reasonable girl. The problem is, like, Pat, you told me in 2020, Adam has the ability to reason. There's no reasoning with extremists, whether it's Hamas, whether it's Islamic Jihad, whether it's Al-Qaeda, whether it's ISIS. These people are gone, bro. They are far gone. They are true believers. Like, no Israeli wakes up and says, all right, I'm going to have a little matzah for breakfast, have a falafel, and go kill some air. That's what they're going to do. These jihadists wake up every day, have a little hummus, have a little cereal, and go, death to Jews, death to America. Let's get some business done. Now, when you talk about a solution, here's my question. Bibi Netanyahu has put forth a solution. It's called the Gaza 2035 plan. 3-part process. He wants to demilitarize Gaza. Cool. Maybe no weapons in the hands of terrorists. That's probably a good start. Number 2, de-indoctrinate the people so they don't just basically go to jihad summer camp. And number 3, let's focus more on GDP, gross domestic product, than GDT, gross domestic terrorism, because everybody knows Hamas has taken billions of world aid, and instead of making Gaza, Singapore, or Dubai, they turned it into a terror city. And that's what's basically happening here. So Tom talked about the Oslo Accords. Israel made peace with Egypt and Jordan.
Camp David.
So what happened under Trump administration? And Pat's absolutely right. Would any of this be happening if Trump was the president? A lot of people say no, right? So what happened during the Abraham Accords? Israel normalized and had peace relations with the following countries: Sudan, Bahrain, Morocco, and UAE. And a lot of people believe that October 7th happened because they were dangerously close to having a normal relationship with Saudi Arabia. Can you believe Saudi Arabia, the literal Mecca of Islam? So that's a lot of reason that, so what's going to happen inevitably is the world is going to realize, dude, Israel doesn't want beef with anybody. Just like any country wants peace and prosperity. But when you have Islamic jihad groups attacking you from all sides, what the hell are you supposed to do? And Pat knows this. The only language they speak in the Middle East is strength. If you show weakness, you're done. So they're showing strength. They are maybe being a little too extreme. I get it. But they're fighting for their lives here. People talk about this story right here. Nobody talks about the rockets that were fired into their number 1 city, Tel Aviv. So, by the way, this is Bibi Netanyahu's plan. Tear it down, think all you want. But I'll flip it on you. What's the Hamas plan? There's no plan. There's zero coming to terms with what they want. You know what their plan is? From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. What does that mean? Death to you all. We want it all. In Hamas's charter, it says it right there. We are built on the death and destruction of Israel. And you know what? I believe them. So what do you do if you're Israel? That's the question. I would love for a time and place where Gaza is the next Dubai and you can go. The beaches there are ridiculous. You think Tel Aviv has nice beaches? Look at the images of the beaches on Gaza. It's beautiful. Unfortunately, they're governed by a terrorist organization and they do not want peace and prosperity. They want death and destruction.
And so, one of my solutions, I think I did say during it, was the tactical change militarily to try to go get these. Because, by the way, Gaza, what does Gaza look like right now? The main spot is pretty flattened right now. I mean, they're expanding again to Rafah and to go in all these places. Mm-hmm. I think having tactical teams, IDF, special forces, whoever, to go root these people out so there aren't explosions, jeeps. That's basically what Gaza looks like. I'm pretty sure. Okay, is the audience seeing that, Rob? Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure you could try to find out who's the good guys in this and try to find some Hamas terrorists. That's one of my solutions. Number two.
By the way, every city at war, every country at war looks like.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's.
But
all
everyone
of Gaza.
wants to talk about Gaza.
No, I'm just.
But they don't want to talk about every other country at war.
No, I'm saying
again. No Jews, no news.
No.
It's only Gaza.
No.
That's at war.
Adam,
that's the only country in the world that's dealing with it.
I'm just trying to get without getting emotional, just trying to give you solutions. With something that looks like that, you could tactically set up teams to go in and find these terrorists, which, mind you, they're multiplying by the day when innocent people are dying. And the innocent number outweighs the Hamas by tenfold.
It's actually not, Vinny.
Okay.
That's why you're it's 2-1.
Adam, just because the UN hold on, because the UN gave you numbers, I don't believe the UN.
So you just made up a number and you're going with that?
No.
It's 2-1, which is historically low in any war. I'm not just going to let you say 10-1. It's not.
How many?
It's 2-1.
How many?
Which is horrible.
How many
innocent civilians have died in war? It's disgusting. So
you're telling me
2 innocent civilians for every terrorist? Yes.
That's a fact.
Yes.
Okay.
Not your 10-1 made up number.
Guess what? I have never heard that. I haven't heard that in the 7 months. That's number one.
You're learning.
Well, by the way, let's do this. Can you do me a favor, Rob? Mm-hmm. Go to both of their Minnects. Go to both of their Minnects. Directly Minnect them. Whatever facts they got right or wrong, send them a message.
Yeah.
Okay, and communicate with them. This is how you do it, right there. Adam's to the bottom left, Vinny's to the bottom right. Message them directly. But what I want to do is I want to move on because we got 5 minutes. We're going to wrap up. And we got other things going on. Here's what I want to do. We'll continue this conversation because this thing's not going to be going away.
I'm going to buy you some McDonald's, Vinny, after this. I got my whole page.
High roller right
Sweetheart.
there.
You got it, boy.
But here's a part. Here's a part to be thinking about. I don't think there's anything wrong with being an angry patriot. There are lots of angry. There's some people that are not angry enough. Like, it's not like it's, God created the emotion for a reason, right? But anger is one letter away from danger. We've read this before. It's an ammunition. It's a weapon that you have. You have to know how to use that fire that's in your belly. Too many people are. That's why I wrote the book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely. Great. Have them. But always end with, what if we did this? What if we did that? What if we did that? And then that's where the conversation takes place. I think a lot of people watch the podcast because they want to hear our different opposing ideas. And then they can be either challenged if they're willing to accept that they're wrong, or they can say, no, you're wrong. Let me send you a message and say why you're not looking at this part. And that's no problem. We can always entertain opposing ideas. Anyways, gang, enjoyed today's banter. We covered a lot of different things. Every general ticket to Chris Cuomo, Dave Smith's podcast sold out. Every VIP is sold out. I think the only thing that's left is what? 6 tickets?
Premium.
6 premium tickets. Better seats at the front. Friday night, 6 to 9 debate. Dave Smith, Chris Cuomo on Thursday. We're back at it again with the podcast. I think we have who on Thursday?
Pete Hegseth from Fox News.
Mr. Handsome, Mr. Good-looking.
Model.
This is Friday night.
This is Friday night.
This is like Friday Night Lights.
Friday Night Fight.
By the way, bar may be open. There may be this may be the night where we.
Well, I know who's not drinking.
No,
me and you, Vinny and me.
The way we're going, no one's drinking around
We'll be mud wrestling in the back.
How many days are you at now?
You'll be wearing the Hamas flag.
By the way, those of you that are coming Friday night, you know what else we're celebrating that night? Vinny's 1 year of no alcohol.
Oh, wow.
Friday night, baby.
Yes.
1 year.
Yeah.
No.
You're going to get there, Adam.
I'm buying you a drink.
That's how we'll celebrate. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.